It all kicks off with Salim noticing the clock striking midnight and realizing he's right back at square one. Frustrated, he screams internally that he'd rather fade to black than endure 3 whole days of this torture. It's pretty obvious our MC is stuck in an endless time loop, constantly resetting to the exact same hour. Lacking the guts to face this head-on, the guy decides he needs to find a shortcut, ASAP. His brilliant master plan for now: crawl under the counter and brainstorm a getaway strategy. Just then, the creepy face of the local spook comes floating slowly down the dark aisle. While Salim huddles in his hiding spot, the creature peeks around, relentlessly hunting for him. The terrifying monster silently slithers through the shadows of the convenience store. Hiding there, he figures that standard horror movie tropes make his current situation totally predictable. Any sudden movement, or even the glow of his phone screen, could totally give away his spot. All that's left is to rely on his own memory to find some weird loophole that breaks the rules. A memory pops up about a special event where time stopped flowing normally. Logic dictates that the more famous a spooky story gets, the more glitches start popping up in it. At first, everyone follows the original rules of a scary tale to the letter. But soon enough, popularity makes the creators themselves invent scenarios full of exceptions. To spice up the exhausting grind, people love to twist the main events of the story. The log our MC remembered talked about a team that barely made it out of a gloomy hospital. The story was supposed to be short, but a glitch ended up adding overtime in the dark. He tries to rack his exhausted brain to remember the special condition for that glitch. Completely tense, our boy wonders what crucial detail changed the urban legend's ending. The answer soon hits him. It was a medical shift change alarm that simply failed to go off. A random worker had accidentally snipped the phone wire. Thanks to that tiny slip-up, hours flew right by, and the sun never came up the next day. As soon as the wire was patched up, the spook answered the call and vanished into thin air. That case proved there was always a hidden trigger that could end the night early. If skipping the event stretched time, fast-tracking the trigger could wrap this whole thing up way ahead of schedule. Suddenly, thousands of urgent voices warning the team start flooding his mind. The demonic critter slowly inches closer to the store counter again. Knowing exactly where he's hiding, the creep uses the voices to mess with his sanity. With danger knocking at the door, Salim decides his only shot is to book it out of there fast. Taking advantage of the monster chilling in front of the counter, he plans a quick sideways escape. The guy bolts at top speed in a desperate bid to get the heck away from the creature. But nope, a bizarre, pale hand firmly grabs his leg right in the middle of the aisle. Thanks to the violent yank, he loses his balance and eats the cold supermarket floor. Enduring 3 days is a no-go, so he realizes he needs to find and activate the final trigger right now. The gloomy, empty place doesn't seem to offer any obvious getaway routes. Salim spots the date on the cash register and focuses on figuring out the final event of this survival loop. He mentally reviews every routine thing that happens in a mart after several days. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off, checking the expiration dates of the products. Spoiled food always gets tossed, so tossing it early would fast-forward the system's clock. Speed running through the shelves, he finds the exact snack he needs for his master plan. Gripping the item for dear life, our MC sprints straight back to the register. In the shadows behind him, the bizarre creature keeps silently slithering his way. He tries to gaslight himself into believing all this tension is just his terrified brain playing tricks on him. Even though he's terrified of an imminent game over, our boy knows he needs to focus on the system controls. Step 1 of the plan: hack the computer's sales date to 3 days in the future. With wildly shaking fingers, he types in the deadline, praying the machine actually listens. The system finally accepts the manual override, bringing a massive wave of relief. Instantly, the screen pops up an alert about the expired product on the counter. But the huge, terrifying ghost is already looming dangerously right behind him. A gigantic eyeball stares daggers at his neck through a curtain of dark hair. Feeling the chilling vibes, he repeats a mantra in his head: do not look back ever. The creep's breathing gets heavier, demanding absolute silence from its victim. Keeping his eyes on the prize, our MC scans the barcode under the red laser. The monster raises its shady hand, ready to strike, just as the computer asks for disposal confirmation. Quickly, a finger smashes the confirm button on the electronic register. Right before touching him, the creature's bizarre arm starts dissolving into thin air thanks to the command. The disposal complete notification glows on the screen, finally freeing our MC from that nerve-wracking tension. The dead silence of the place is broken only by the soft drip-drop of water hitting the floor. With daylight flooding the mart, Salim stretches his arms, chilling out after surviving the ordeal. The receipt prints out, proving his crazy strategy actually worked. Breathing a sigh of relief, he admits sunlight really is essential for living a peaceful life. He's so beat that he doesn't even want to think about facing the dark again anytime soon. Just as he finally tries to leave, the cash drawer pops open with a quick jolt. Confused by the sudden noise, he stares blankly at the thick stacks of bills sliding out of the machine. Dazzled by all that dough, he decides that maybe the spooky ghost is actually a pretty solid dude. Far away, two coworkers are gossiping about how the newbie is gonna be stuck for at least 3 days. The lady grumbles about how much she hates filling out boring paperwork during all that time. Suddenly her phone buzzes, cutting right through their small talk. Just then, Salim kicks open the base door looking like he just crawled back from a war zone. The duo in the hallway is absolutely floored to see the kid back so early and in one piece. Glancing at her screen, the coworker points out that the waste collector is already maxed out. The official system logs his impossible clear time at just 1 hour and 24 minutes. The once clear sky is now packed with heavy clouds, proving real time was brutally warped. And way in the back, some mysterious dude holding a snack watches the whole thing go down with intense interest. The team leader takes a drag of her cigarette, reflecting on how their new guy is in their solo, facing off against an urban legend. Since it's a 3-day survival loop, she figures hell'll be fine since the place is stocked with food. Shoving an unprepared newbie into pitch blackness has basically become their department's personal hazing ritual. The coworker points out that plenty of rookies have quit over this, and HR is breathing down their necks about it. The million-dollar question is why they keep testing people if the general advice is to just quit before you get yourself wiped out for nothing. Sitting on their hands watching a teammate bite, the dust isn't exactly on their daily wish list. That's a dark, tragic scene they try their absolute hardest not to rerun. But newbie Kim Salim really caught the veteran duo's eye right from the interview. The guy definitely showed off a completely out-of-the-box personality from day one. He's got this weird obsession with the job that gives anyone near him the creeps. While most people panic just hearing the job description, this kid didn't even flinch. The lady claims nerves of steel are always a huge plus in this kind of hazardous line of work. Nobody cowardly would ever survive the probation period at this company anyway. Ironically, his record showed he was exactly that, a total scaredy cat who passed purely on desperate survival instincts. Looking at it that way, they conclude this rookie is one heck of a character. The only red flag is that our MC never takes notes, a dead giveaway that this must be his very first job. The boss lady says Shell warn him about the mandatory note-taking, since their survival literally depends on it. Writing everything down ensures they can review cases later, especially since he walked into this field knowing absolutely zero. But the system logs proved he actually knew the mission details ahead of time. Sticking to the routine, the coworker calculates the rookie won't be back for 3 days and suggests tackling the paperwork until then. Right then, the electronic gadget on the desk randomly starts beeping, grabbing their attention. Holding the glowing device, the veteran has no clue why it suddenly went off. The jump scare from the sudden notification makes the guy spill his coffee and drop his stuff on the floor. Completely stunned, his eyes bug out when he sees the equipment storage is entirely maxed out with data. The system required a minimum of 3 days, but the newbie cleared it in just 1 hour. Radiating pure exhaustion, Salim sighs heavily, admitting he almost had a heart attack from being so terrified in there. The veteran connects the dots, remembering the convenience store legend lasted for days on end. Sitting on the break room couch, he asks how the kid pulled an escape before the timer ran out. Cool as a cucumber, our MC explains he simply fast-forwarded the event using the computer. Blown away by how casual the answer was, the vet starts seeing his coworker as an absolute field exploration genius. Hyped about the insane new record, the vet declares the team needs to help their new rising star settle in properly. He grabs the kid's hands, begging not to be forgotten when the newbie becomes a filthy rich manager. The duo listens closely as Salim spills the beans, revealing the real strategy behind his great escape. Our MC admits the panic hit hard, and all he did was run like his life depended on it. Processing the truth, the boss just sighs and asks him to give a heads up next time he decides to break all the rules of logic. Annoyed by the fake modesty, she highly doubts someone who cleared the test that fast actually thought they were gonna bite the dust. Resting her face in her hand, the leader changes the subject and asks how much dough the kid made from the gig. The reward system always pays out at the end, so he reveals he scored 10 million won. Sliding the stack of cash across the table, he hands the money straight to his superiors. The boss slides it back, explaining the company usually takes a 50% cut, but he earned the right to keep it all. The kid's conscience takes a hit from being treated so well, sweating bullets from pure nervousness. In reality, the total payout was 20 million, and his original master plan was to secretly pocket the rest. Putting profit margins aside, the lady announces it's time for the most important part of the job. The coworker flashes a huge, hyped-up smile, revealing it's time to check out the famous perk store points. The system screen pulls up Salim's official profile, showing a starting balance of just 100 points for the cleared mission. Scanning the rules, he figures out that surviving a low-threat anomaly nets you a clean 100 points. The guy clicks through the company site, laser-focused on finding something actually worth buying. Surprisingly, the catalog is full of basic everyday items, like a standard robot vacuum. Our MC is blown away by the massive variety of high-tech gadgets up for grabs on the platform. However, his eyes lock onto the magic wish ticket, boasting an absurd price tag of 500,000 points. The sticker shock is so intense, he almost falls out of his chair, reading that astronomical number. Looking at the categories, the rookie realizes that higher-tier missions pay out way better. Splitting the points from a mid-tier mission with a squad, he crunches the numbers and figures he'd need to run 150 of them. The huge catch is that the survival rate for mid-tier cases is a measly 2% for normal folks. Rolling the dice that many times with those odds is basically signing your own early eviction notice from life. Totally missing the kid's existential crisis, the vet walks over asking if he got his points logged in right. Taking a breather, Salim notices the perfectly organized desk and asks who it belongs to. The coworker casually drops that the workspace actually belongs to their division's big boss. Our MC freezes instantly, realizing he just hijacked the boss's workstation without asking. Shrugging it off, the vet assures him the leader is basically a ghost around the base and doesn't care as long as nothing gets broken. He adds that since the company deals with urban legends all the time, normal logic doesn't really fly around here. Mind racing a mile a minute, the kid realizes he's gotta cook up a genius scheme to stay breathing. Hands hovering over the keyboard, he decides that bending a few corporate rules is absolutely mandatory. Staring down the monitor, he focuses on his risky objective to get a leg up in this system. A sticky note on the monitor blatantly displays the boss's username and password, showing some seriously questionable cybersecurity. Spoon-fed the login info, our MC tries to hack into the perk store using the manager's account. The system spits out an invalid credentials error, which doesn't shock our little hacker in the slightest. The password rules required at least one uppercase letter, a crucial detail the sticky note conveniently left out. Just by capping the first letter, he's in, and the boss's welcome screen pops right up. A silent, super-relieved fist pump follows as he clears phase 1 of the heist. Turns out the platform hides special ads that only top-tier management can see. These sketchy ads lead straight to a black market run by aliens who hijack the company's network. To unlock this secret shop full of overpowered items, you just need a few quick clicks of the mouse. Exploiting the loophole perfectly, he spams the browser's back button 5 times in a row. Instantly, the screen lights up with a flashy banner pushing shady deals and easy schemes to get way stronger. The alien cursor stealthily clicks the hidden ad, popping up on Salim's office monitor. Corporate rules state that clearing an anomaly using the playbook gets the field worker half the cut. But the company just pockets the rest and straight up robs the poor newbies of their entire first mission payout. Flashing back to the weird action figure his coworker flexed earlier, our MC finally connects the dots on where the swag came from. That suspicious, early internet virus-looking ad actually hides a black market exclusive to managers. Since the work computers log every click, our boy decides to breach the network from the safety of his own home. The secret page blasts insane intergalactic sales for anyone desperate for a quick power-up on the corporate ladder. Laser-focused on his risky scheme, Salim copies the exact link to avoid leaving a digital paper trail at headquarters. Chilling in his room, he carefully punches the link into his personal device using the boss's swiped login. Soon enough, the whole screen starts glitching out like crazy, flooding with unreadable code and alien text. Once the system stabilizes, the flashy, ridiculously cosmic layout of the black market loads right up. Totally annoyed by the sluggish load times, our hacker grumbles that this trash site isn't even mobile optimized. Despite looking like an amateur scam, he knows this platform holds the keys to surviving his daily grind. Ready to blow his entire payload, our shopper dives into the catalog to scout out the best defensive gear. The magic item list features surreal gear going for millions, proving they're literal relics from another dimension. Recognizing almost everything thanks to his urban legend deep dives, our MC celebrates his massive tactical advantage. Some familiar tools like the silverware, the radio, and the picnic kit already have super clear uses in his strategic brain. The big issue is that special bundles cost tens of millions of points and would instantly bankrupt him. Clutching last night's heavy bag of cash, the kid tries to focus only on stuff that'll give him the absolute best bang for his buck. Just like that, the cosmic system processes the order instantly, draining the astronomical amount straight from his corporate balance. A green alert pops up, cheerfully announcing his mystery haul is already aboard a special express delivery rocket. Mind completely blown by the shipping update, the guy just freezes, trying to process how this insane logistics network even operates. The virtual timer flashes 2 short seconds before hitting 0 in the blink of an eye, heralding his package's sudden arrival. A starry portal rips open right in his ceiling, dumping 2 heavy cardboard boxes straight into his startled hands. Feeling the literal weight of his interstellar package, Salim realizes with awe that breaking corporate rules can be incredibly rewarding. Looking at the company logo on the side, he admits his crazy new reality is equal parts terrifying and awesome. Skipping the unboxing aesthetics, the rookie tears into the packaging, super hyped to get his hands on his hard-earned loot. First up is the famous Alice set, packed with powerful candies that can double or split spells right down the middle. The second protective relic is the magic coin, snagged thanks to an insane discount that basically forced him to hit checkout. Checking out the engraved details on the metal, our master tactician confesses that multi-million point sale was just too good to pass up. A bunch of coins go up in value on the underground black market, so his master plan is to flip the silver for pure profit down the line. Being a sharp, rational thinker, Salim considers this whole risky shopping spree a genius long-term investment. Reviewing the other deadly weapons in the restricted catalog, the rookie concludes he left the rest behind because they were practically useless. The forks would force him into ridiculous close-quarters combat against giant ghosts, where winning meant literally spoon-feeding an enraged monster. Throwing hands with massive specters, armed with nothing but basic cutlery, would be the fastest, dumbest way to get himself permanently retired. The broad communication radio would just raise way too many red flags in the field, since convincing management to let him keep it on would never fly. Not to mention, if they asked for the receipt, his stolen manager account gig would blow up in his face, getting him instantly fired. Using cold survival logic, our boy decides the cheap, portable relics were the absolute perfect picks for today. His defensive inventory gets a massive stealth upgrade, mixing system, memory amulets with his brand new million-point goodies. Super hyped about the money well spent, the tactician happily realizes he absolutely loves blowing his own cash. The shopper's biggest nightmare right now is the dreaded warning that market ghosts might be hitching a ride in the cracks of his boxes. Ignoring the potential poltergeists, the intergalactic site just casually asks for a simple 5-star review for their stellar service. As afternoon rolls around at the main building, the team casually announces it's go time for their weekly containment op. The veteran coworker dials back the pressure, claiming low-tier ghosts are just easy, harmless legends, basically a walk in the park. The young leader shares that absolute chill vibe, while Salim is just super relieved he won't be flying solo in the dark again. Prepping for the mental terror invasion, the employee reviews the manuals focused on the strict structure of a fake TV game show. The descriptions say the shadows turn everything into a sick stage that punishes anyone who stutters or messes up with severe mutilation. Aiming to keep the whole squad safe, the guy politely hands over the printed pages so his partner can memorize the right lines. The short-haired girl shoots down the papers with zero mercy, proudly claiming she nailed every paragraph on the first read. Annoyed by her total lack of self-preservation, the vet spouts off an insane list of math statistics, begging her to use the physical notes. Eating up their crazy, competitive energy, our MC jokes that the big boss is gonna worship the genius newbie right off the bat. Just mentioning the boss gets the kid's mental gears turning, reminding him that the group's top dog is still pulling a total ghost act. The morning bets around base assumed the boss would show up to lead the raid, but the room is still just filled with the trio's chatter. Listening to the frustrating voicemail, the lady lets out an annoyed grunt, announcing the team master is gonna be MIA until tomorrow afternoon. Sick of the giant company's daily corporate abuse, she angrily questions their complete lack of sense in sending the greenest kid to face real danger alone. The unbearable demand to meet the monthly casualty quota forces the corporate drones to clock into the urban legend just because they're short-staffed. Focusing her attention on the poor guy sweating bullets, she coldly demands to know if the prodigy has the miracle manual permanently burned into his memory yet. The big guy pats the rookie's tense shoulders, guaranteeing a ridiculously easy win, which just makes Salim's stomach tie itself in painful knots. Sighing at the sheer irresponsibility of this assigned mission, the coworker straightens her clothes, confirming that just the three of them should be enough to wipe the stage clean. The rookie successfully bottles up his terror, feeling deeply that this is just the universe punishing him for having the guts to steal so many virtual millions. Trying not to completely fall apart facing the massive impending disaster, the guy faces the harsh truth that he has zero clue what the heck happens inside this extra stage. Taking a step into the pitch black hits him right in the psyche, punishing his arrogance for thinking he was lucky just because he memorized a few spooky tales. Gripping the haunted registration form for the macabre show, reality smacks him in the face as he realizes how unfair it was to lose his precious predictability so early on. The dark ink of the pen permanently seals their brutal entry pass into the twisted legend, writing the trio's empty nicknames into the sick rules created for this dark event. The gloom hijacks the employees' senses, dragging a funeral-like silence through every corner of the area, sending the first guaranteed shivers of fear right down their spines. Old magazines forgotten in the back of drawers act like live bait, featuring dangerous ads meant to reel innocent people straight into fatal, recorded performances. Straight from the speakers hidden in the filthy dark, an artificial voice drops the first nonsensical question, testing the core principles of an audience addicted to pure dread. Following the rhythm of the rhetorical question, spotlights pierce the gloom at record speed, flooding human minds with blinding light that almost fries their retinas. Classic hanging signs reveal a flashy, expensive facade built solely to frame the sadistic performance of a mysterious host who guides guests into endless pain. The fake, living set blasts wonderfully insane, loud instrumental notes mixed with the dangerous vibrations of desperate people cheering fiercely in the background. The central evil presence declares through invisible waves that the true value of television lies purely in the flawless, disturbing broadcast made for those who eat up the horror. The booming instruments announce the end of the opening monologue with a massive shock to the metal rims, shaking the whole claustrophobic room packed with stolen souls. Stepping into the golden spotlight of this fatal circus, the bizarre star of the show, rocking a TV set that covers his entire head, elegantly extends his creepy hand forward. Nailing the exact mannerisms of a grand, flashy news anchor, the monster's broad gestures pull all the unwanted attention right toward the freshly kidnapped victims standing in the silent shadows. Welcoming the new players with killer enthusiasm, the absolute master of the hall politely demands they swallow their deep fears and slap on huge fake smiles to keep the best infernal broadcast in the country rolling. The artificial voice in the studio demands that everyone face the situation with a really big, bright smile. That's when Salim notices the creature on stage has an old-school TV for a head, figuring this guy must be the host of the attraction. The monster dramatically snaps his fingers, asking the invisible audience for one last round of applause. The entire vibe of this bizarre show exists purely fueled by the hype of the live crowd. Instantly, the ghostly mob starts screaming their lungs out from the dark bleachers. Taking in the set around him, our MC breathes a sigh of relief that he isn't paralyzed with fear like he expected. Looking at the entity as just some dude wearing a TV mask really helps keep his sanity in check. Even the studio layout isn't too bad, giving off major vibes of a classic, old-school American talk show. But a sudden memory makes the kid freeze in his tracks as he puts the pieces together. The exact style of this retro talk show crosses his mind in a seriously worrying way. Playing a trivia game where the contestant miraculously already knows all the answers sounds way too familiar. Completely tense, the guy finally realizes exactly which urban legend this set belongs to. Cutting off his train of thought, the deformed host excitedly points at the camera to kick things off. The countdown for the show flashes on the big screen, while the system warns him about the deadly threat level of the mission. The timer hits 0, kicking off the macabre game and revealing that the official survival rate for this place is an absolute 0. The real story behind this bloodbath started out as a simple, retro 70s anomaly. Just like in a movie, the whole disaster kicked off in a stage, officially ranked with a super low danger level. Through the static screens, the host gives a warm good evening to all the viewers tuning in for the weekly broadcast. He swears he's been totally hyped for Tuesday, since it's the one day the studio opens its doors to the public. This VIP access is the perfect chance for the sadistic entity to get up close and personal with fresh, adorable new faces. The logs showed that the first 99 runs into this event went down peacefully with 0 casualties. The real slaughterfest only went down exactly on the company's 100th expedition. With a spotlight hitting the stage, the TV monster announces it's time for the big contestant reveal. The codenames Badger, Falcon, and Little Deer are called up to take their spots at the game podiums. The show's intro jingle asks if the guests have what it takes to keep the undefeated winning streak alive this week. Squinting through the blinding lights, Saliam hears the creature declare the immediate start of episode number 110. The kid's heart pounds out of his chest when he does the math and realizes that episode number perfectly lines up with the 99th exploration. Slowly turning his head, the rookie checks on his teammates at the podiums next to him. The veteran duo is holding a super relaxed, totally confident posture right in front of the freak. Judging by how chill they are, our MC clings to the stat that the real tragedy isn't supposed to happen until their next visit to the studio. Despite the false sense of security, Saliam squeezes his sweaty hands, reminding himself he's still standing right in the middle of an urban legend. The manual was crystal clear. Any disrespect or messing with the broadcast rules meant you got instantly incinerated. To make the tension way worse, the bizarre creature announces on the big screen that the show is completely live. Running an unscripted attraction means one wrong move from the contestants equals pure suicide. Noticing the kid's cold sweat, the entity sarcastically asks if Little Deer is feeling all right. Keeping his guard up, the guy answers quickly that it's just the normal jitters of being on TV for the first time. Loving the submission, the host nods, wags his finger, and announces they're gonna start with a super easy round. The first question demands to know which of the options is not a basic part of the human body. Picking dirt without missing a beat, the correct answer chime echoes through the stage, scoring the first win of the round. The same luck rolls over to the veteran coworker, who confidently nails his test on the first try. Keeping the fast pace, the team leader also locks in the right answer, looking bored out of her mind by this knockoff game show. Trying to force some entertainment value, the monster fake hypes that the rookie is really sweating over his next choice. Sounding a little shaky, he guesses strangulation, praying he doesn't get instantly wiped out for making a mistake. Hoisting the correct sign with tons of fanfare, the freak awards another point while the kid finally remembers how to breathe. A rain of right answers takes over the game, making the newbie silently celebrate the fact that they're following the manual to a T. With the team's flawless score glowing on the board, the entity announces they've reached the final question of the night. The host extends his hand toward our MC's podium to deliver the ultimate deciding challenge. The monster leans in, asking if the brown-haired player is ready to handle the pressure. Cutting to the chase, the screen demands the exact percentage of blood loss that's guaranteed to kill a human being. Staring down options 1 through 4, the guy mentally reviews basic medical facts to make his call. Standing his ground, he confidently states loud and clear that option 1 is the correct answer. But completely blowing everyone's expectations, he just keeps talking, chaining the next options right along with it. The masked figure completely blue screens when he hears the contestant lock in the third and fourth, numbers 2. Holding a dead serious stare, the player coldly states that every single item up there causes death. His cold logic dictates that losing more than half the blood in your body is obviously a guaranteed game over. The studio camera zooms in on the sheer audacity of betting on multiple answers at the exact same time. A voice echoing from the dark corners of the set asks in a shady tone if the kid wants to rethink this crazy stunt. Refusing to budge an inch, the guy announces he's sticking to his gun's right to the bitter end. Scratching his electronic head, the freak quietly admits the original answer key only had option 1 marked as correct. But in a sudden burst of bizarre energy, the host starts throwing wild praises at the rookie for his spectacular boldness. Validating the kid's gutsy move, the creature counts it as a perfect score, lifting a massive weight off Salyam's shoulders. A digital curtain drops on the screen, marking the triumphant finale of episode number 110 of this twisted show. Ignoring the bored, sleepy veterans, the host declares the stage can only hold one ultimate champion for the night. A shower of confetti rains down on the rookie's podium, crowning him the MVP of the entire round. Completely dazed, he takes the weird prize in his hands, mumbling thank yous without really getting why he's the clear favorite. Flashing a huge, relieved smile, the grand winner is just stoked he made it through the whole ordeal in one piece. The system tally confirms Exploration 99 is officially a wrap, clearing the team to leave as soon as the spotlights cut out. The TV monster waves at the camera, signing off to his shady audience with a promise to be back next week. Suddenly, the broadcast visuals start glitching, slicing up the clean feed with messy, colorful static. The main lighting rig crashes down with a sharp crack, plunging the host's podium into pitch darkness. All the glitzy, welcoming shine of the studio just evaporates, turning the place into a freezing, completely abandoned set. Right at that exact second, a brand new corporate squad spawns out of nowhere, stepping into the thick shadows of the empty auditorium. The kid's 2 veteran bosses stare at the newcomers, completely thrown off by the sudden shift change. But the rookie's eyes lock onto the digital scoreboard in pure terror as it ticks over to the dreaded Exploration number 100. Recognizing the faces of the field team walking through the door, the guy realizes the real bloodbath is just getting started. The guy with glasses goes into full shock, seeing the newbies completely frozen right there. He remembers the manual's strict rule that burns anyone alive who even tries to interfere. Focusing on that punishment brings up terrifying mental images of victims turning into instant ash. The team leader watches the whole mess go down, sweating bullets and having no clue what to do. Meanwhile, the TV monster happily hypes up a special sneak peek for next Tuesday. Sensing the imminent danger, the woman tense whispers for nobody to make a single move. After all, the dreaded main camera is still recording their every step with its red light glowing. Our MC locks onto the bizarre warning sign, stating that disrespectful viewers will be permanently eliminated. Right then, the panic hits hard, as the kid internally curses out this entire insane situation. The host happily points at the screen, telling everyone to stay tuned for next week's edition. A massive confetti drop takes over the stage, while a super upbeat closing theme blasts. The freak officially wraps up today's broadcast, promising to return with an even better attraction. The giant gold sign rises, officially sealing the macabre broadcast for that shift. As soon as the lights cut out, the creature lets out a heavy sigh, admitting they almost ruined the live event. The big coworker sweeps up the mess, agreeing they got super lucky fixing the glitch just in time. Praising Salyam's instincts, the entity actually has the nerve to ask if he wants to become a permanent cast member. The kid shoots down the crazy offer instantly, flat out stating he's already got a job. Faking a pout, the host complains about the rejection and notes that the guests look totally spooked too. He tries to comfort the veteran duo, swearing he knows their screw-up wasn't on purpose. Turning his back to the team, the creep cheerfully promises their turn to play will come around real soon. But out of nowhere, the creature freezes in place, listening to some silent cue in the studio. Facing the trio, the monster scratches the side of his TV head, admitting this next announcement is a bit of a bummer. The glowing set panel glitches out, revealing the official, dreaded cancellation of the show. Explaining the mess, the host darkly announces that the classic attraction has been completely replaced. But he tries to soften the blow, swearing it's not the end of the world and even promises some good news. The raid leader paralyses in fear in the dark, whispering a desperate, "No way." The woman quickly realizes this sudden, bizarre format change is exactly what she was most afraid of. This same cursed trap was triggered exactly on the company's infamous 100th run. The survival logs from back then showed that the fatal event started out totally normal. But when the employees questioned the switch-up, the freak explained that the old format bored the audience to tears. Way too hyped, the host calls the entire team up to join the brand new segment that's about to drop. Solium tries to be smart, pointing out they already played and desperately need to get back to base. The monster's TV screen flashes an angry red, questioning the absolute audacity of someone walking out mid-shoot. Threatening the duo, he growls in a heavy tone that ditching the studio is gonna make things very, very bad for them. The giant screen demands an answer, forcing the terrified leader to yell that they aren't turning down anything. Sweating cold, she throws out a weak excuse, swearing they just didn't expect to shoot 2 blocks back to back. Desperately looking for a safe out, the rookie focuses on finding an excuse so they don't get wiped out right then and there. The risky plan involves begging for prep time and running for the hills, promising to come back next week. But exactly at that moment, a bizarre stagehand holds up a cue card confirming the set is fully prepped. Clapping his hands, the host cuts off their escape, ordering everyone to get to their marks ASAP. Staring down the beaming monster, the kid realizes trying to use normal logic with this entity is totally useless. The digital clapperboard flashes coldly, kicking off the fatal 3-second countdown for the show's return. A hyped-up shout of action explodes from the speakers, tossing the trio right back into the stage's ridiculous lighting. Shredded sheet music floats through the arena, while a sinister melody announces the debut of the new programming. The master of ceremonies greets the hidden crowd, promising to really turn up the heat for their Tuesday late-night viewing. Flashing his cue cards, the host swears the new gig is 1,000 times better than the dusty old trivia game. The creature gives a whole speech claiming human voices are the most beautiful sound, capable of touching any heart. The veterans gulp in fear, while the monster actually has the gall to promise they're gonna love the big surprise. A macabre figure covered in blood steps onto the stage, tearing through reality to kick off the dreaded Tuesday choir. The freak with a pig's head is introduced with total hype as the grand maestro of the network's filthy melodies. The bizarre butcher just stares into the void, demanding the host bring out his tools of the trade. Tilting his screen face toward the dark ceiling, the suited monster finally gives the green light to drop the musical items. A circular silver platter drops down, slicing the air with a sharp hum that sends chills straight down the trio's spines. Several shiny trays appear hanging from wires, ready to catch the cruel donations from the guests. The team leader tells the guy with glasses to step up first and try to score a quick win for their side. Pointing without an ounce of mercy, the talking TV hands the opening round exactly to the target she picked. The cursed screen flashes the question, demanding to know which of these 4 living beings boasts the longest lifespan. Sweating buckets, the guy bets on the human race, praying the old survival rules still apply here. The correct answer rings out to a massive celebration, but the winner's head just flies right off in a geyser of blood. The dark rules dictate that the bizarre choir needs exactly 13 trays filled with human offerings. The severed head is brutally slammed onto the silver platter, officially launching the dreaded choir of shadows. The mutilated body part wakes up, screaming its own answer like some kind of sick, twisted chorus. The leader collapses to the floor, tearing her throat out in an agonizing scream as she watches her coworker become a living instrument. Completely stuck to the tray, the ghost cries, repeating the word human between heavy, pathetic sobs. Driven insane by the terror, the girl wails desperately, screaming her dead partner's name at the top of her lungs. Ignoring the absolute misery in the studio, the host snaps back to his hype persona to announce the next step. His shady finger points right at the sobbing woman, demanding to know if she's ready to play. The employee cries uncontrollably, accepting her fate and begging him to just get the punishment over with. With a lethal snap of his fingers, the monster executes her, blasting the victim into thousands of colorful petals. Faking a sad sigh, the host whines about the contestant failing to make the cut for his choir. A dark memory about the record-breaking wipeout of an entire team instantly slams into our MC's brain. He realizes in sheer terror that there is no escape route. Getting it wrong means you vanish, and getting it right gets you eternally tortured. A harsh reality check hits him. The recent victims were never even mentioned in the official survival reports. Just then, the red smile on the screen turns towards Salim, calling him up to take his spot in the arena. Cornered in the middle of this killer circus ring, the rookie freezes, imagining his own execution if he actually gets the test right. Cornered in the dark, Salim stares blankly, feeling the crushing pressure of this lethal stage. Gripping his own hands tight, he tries to stay cool, demanding himself not to panic right now. With a laser-focused look, the guy remembers he's the only one in here who actually has a solid edge over the spook. The feeling taking over isn't just pure fear, it's the shock of watching a literal natural disaster unfold in front of him. Despite the terror, our MC clings to the fact that he read the playbook and actually has solid odds of making it out alive. Soon the entity calls for Badger, while the decapitated head keeps screaming the answer in the background. Flashing a friendly little face on the screen, the host demands the summoned veteran's attention. Right then, Salim randomly raises his hand, catching the creature's eye, and the host loves the initiative immediately. The rookie politely asks if he can say a quick word before the round, and the monster enthusiastically agrees. Making up a total BS story, the kid claims he has a sick relative in the hospital who desperately needs a visit. The fake sob story touches the freak's heart instantly, making big fat pixel tears stream down the monitor. The team leader freezes at the absurd acting, while the entity demands the guy's final decision. Without missing a beat, our MC calls out to the host again, slicing right through the heavy tension. Totally taken aback by the sheer guts, the host asks if Little Deer has anything else to share. Watching all this, the woman panics, knowing that breaking the rhythm of this show is literal suicide. Faking a massive dizzy spell, Salim mumbles that he's feeling lightheaded and is about to pass out right there on stage. He clutches his chest and asks in a weak voice if he could just rest for a tiny bit before going on. The TV creature completely paralyses, sweating bullets, having zero clue how to handle a medical emergency on set. The host quickly snaps his fingers, realizing a sick contestant is a massive PR disaster for the broadcast. To the kid's absolute shock, the monster calls an immediate cut and announces a 30-minute break in filming. The raid leader's jaw drops as she watches the boy literally halt the event without turning into a pile of ash. Breathing a huge sigh of relief, the newbie realizes his risky gamble actually worked and saved everyone's bacon. He knew damn well that interrupting a live broadcast usually got you flat out deleted on the spot. But since the screens showed friendly emojis, the entity prioritized the health of his precious player. This whole manipulation only worked because of the alien smiley sticker and the magic kit that completely hacked the creep's sympathy levels. The static on the screen proves that dropping heavy cash on that shady alien black market was worth every single penny. Full of concern, the host orders security to escort Little Deer to the green room with a nice little cup of water. The freak sweetly asks the guy to hydrate and take some deep breaths before the official return. Right then, a relieved, totally victorious smirk crosses the tactician's face as he watches his master plan unfold perfectly. The giant timer starts counting down the break, finally buying the team that desperate chunk of time they needed. Salim discreetly bumps into his partner, knowing he has to use this tiny window to cook up a real rescue plan. He walks right past the stunned woman, whispering for her to keep a super close eye on the veteran coworker all by herself. Without drawing any heat from the studio, our MC walks briskly and slips straight into the empty waiting room. As soon as the door clicks shut, the kid collapses in exhaustion, letting out all the brutal tension he'd been holding in. Even after scoring that impossible truce, half an hour isn't even enough time for him to catch a proper breath. But the clock is ticking, so he zeroes in on the mystery item his boss slipped into his hand earlier outside. The boy inspects the tiny gadget super closely, trying to figure out what practical use this thing actually has. Analyzing the round shape, the rookie realizes the little disc is basically a remote control button. Done guessing, he firmly presses the center of the device, praying something good happens. Immediately, a phone ringtone blares from the piece, and a deep voice answers on the other end of the secret line. The suited man picks up the comms and introduces himself dead seriously as Lee Yi-hyun. Our MC figures out this is his boss's direct hotline to the corporate bigwigs. Gripping the tiny gadget, the guy realizes this might be his one and only ticket out of here alive. Quickly confirming the guy's identity, he finds out he's talking to the absolute top dog of his squad. Throwing hierarchy out the window, Salim bluntly states that his entire team is going to get brutally murdered in 30 minutes. Showing zero panic, the leader catches the rookie's urgency and asks for a quick rundown of the crisis. The kid details the bizarre game show and swears that once the break ends, the whole trio is toast. His boss tells him to stall for time, but immediately scraps the rescue up when he realizes delaying is off the table. Completely ticked off, the guy can't fathom how the boss treats his own team's impending doom like it's a joke. Swallowing his anger, Salim asks if buying that ridiculous amount of time would actually give base enough room to pull off a rescue. The boss breaks it down. The heavy corporate red tape plus travel time means it'll take almost an hour before they can even attempt an extraction. Processing the info, the tactician is stunned to realize the leader was planning to raid that terrifying anomaly entirely solo. A massive lightbulb goes off as he realizes this overly confident dude must be a major named character in this universe. Leaning on his meta-knowledge, the rookie zeroes in on how incredibly useful it is to have a named VIP on his side right now. To confirm his savior's true identity, the kid straight up asks what kind of mask the big boss wears. Back on the creepy stage, the entity cheerfully calls out for Little Deer amidst all the musical chaos. All helpful, the host asks if he's feeling better, and the guy politely thanks him for being so incredibly considerate. The sweet tone proves the illegally purchased alien sticker is still completely overriding the monster's system. With the comms hidden away, the kid mutters to himself that the ultimate gamble is fully locked and loaded. Looking at his stressed-out partner, his only realistic goal is to keep the trio alive and in one piece until the miracle arrives. Holding a laser-focused stare, the kid interrupts the broadcast yet again, calling out to the suited creature. Super curious about the contestant's boldness, the monster asks what's so important that he just had to speak up. The plan requires the freak to feel incredibly flattered, so the guy swallows his pride and starts kissing up to the enemy. Smooth talking like a pro, the rookie claims it's painfully obvious the entity pours boundless love into producing this show. He keeps dropping praises about the stunning aesthetics and incredible hosting, proving that pure desperation makes you the perfect fake kiss-ass. The fake charm works like a charm, and the TV flashes a super bashful emoji, totally melting over the compliments. Beaming with pride, the host tries to share the credit for the show's creation, but the guy quickly cuts the chatter. Straight shooting, Salim explains that suddenly changing the format totally ruins the genuine brilliance the original show had going for it. Pointing out the flaws in the new setup, the kid complains about missing the live band and the hype of a real, warm audience. He knows all this because he dug up the monster's true passions while snooping around that tiny waiting room earlier. The walls were plastered with posters proving the host has a massive soft spot for vibrant shows and genuine human connection. So the tactician baits the hook, heavily accusing the infernal network of slashing the stage budget. Wrapping up his insane critique, he assumes production threw quality in the trash just so they could afford to hire that pig maestro. Right at that exact second, a massive burst of analog static slams the host's monitor out of nowhere. Instantly dropping the happy face, the host coldly warns the contestant to back off and mind his own business. Keeping up the act, Salim confesses he's a huge fan of the classic trivia format. He whines that he only got carried away because he was so heartbroken to see his favorite show cancelled. The creature taps his own screen thoughtfully. The host grumbles that the showbiz world is cutthroat, and he just has to accept what his audience wants now. Suddenly, the monster's head warps into a happy expression, completely agreeing that he liked the old version way better too. The host reminisces about the good old days of doing live crowd work, filling the stage with an electric, totally contagious energy. Listening closely, the guy thinks to himself that honestly the old show was better, but he quickly deletes that useless thought from his brain. Dropping back into his formal host persona, the entity apologizes for letting his personal opinions derail things during all that chaos. Out of nowhere, loud, harsh static rips across the monitor, grabbing everyone's attention on stage. Ignoring the glitch, the host announces they only have 60 seconds before cameras roll again. He demands everyone get back to their marks immediately. With the trap completely set, our MC focuses on the plan as a silent countdown takes over his mind. The numbers drop fast while the severed head on the platter waits for the terrifying return of that lethal music. The digital board flashes the number 100 with a loud crack, announcing the macabre show is officially back on the air. The shadows swallow the set once again, morphing everything back into a literal cinematic nightmare. While chilling in the break room earlier, the kid was trying to connect the dots of this whole insane situation. He stared at the secret comms, remembering to ask about what the division's big boss actually looked like. The short, blunt answer confirmed that the Grand Leader rocked a lizard mask on the job. Right on the main stage, the host points at the veteran, announcing it's finally time to hear his final answer. Frozen stiff with pure terror, the guy with glasses bugs his eyes out, feeling the heavy weight of his imminent doom. Worried about his coworker, Saliam turns his head, trying to get literally any reaction out of his teammate. The tactician quickly figures out the guy is about to just give up and say he doesn't know the answer. In the sick logic of this place, turning into instant ash was a way more merciful exit than ending up as a living instrument on a platter. Refusing to accept that tragic ending, the kid screams at his partner to just give the right answer, telling him it's way too early to throw in the towel. The veteran stares at the rookie, totally baffled by this sudden explosion of guts right in the middle of all this chaos. Leaning on the glowing desk, the host coldly declares the player has exactly 3 measly seconds to spit it out. Agonizing silence takes over the studio as sweat pours down the cornered man's face. In a last-ditch effort, he blurts out option 4, the one about burns. The entity instantly accepts it with a burst of fake celebration. The pig maestro steps up, violently raising his arms to welcome the newest member to his cursed choir. But a metallic clank echoes from under the podium as a tiny dimensional drawer jolts open. A thin cardboard box pops out of a mysterious beam of light, bringing back the memory about the boss' special delivery gadget. In their earlier chat, the big guy explained that the portal from the remote could only beam small-sized items straight into the set. The rookie processes the intel, concluding that's more than enough to pull off his wild plan. Screaming at the top of his lungs, our MC orders his partner to chuck that package as hard and as far as he physically can. The item hits the floor, unleashing a blinding flash that temporarily wipes out everyone's vision in the dark studio. Massive green energy forms into a gigantic spiritual blade, absolutely flattening the area where the pig was standing. After the devastating hit, just a simple AA battery rolls harmlessly across the wrecked stage floor. Watching the insane attack, the newbie confirms his crazy theory was 100% spot on. The bet was on the crushing power of the lizard, the guy famous for literally physically exorcising any urban legend. Despite lacking tactical smarts, the leader made up for it with brute force so insane it straight up broke the rules of the stage. Barely dodging the strike, the maestro backs off while the kid prays the jump scare stalls the broadcast just for a few seconds. Totally confused by the delay, the host calls for the maestro over and over, demanding he accept the choir's newest recruit already. Frozen center stage, the butcher creature just stares weirdly into the void, completely ignoring his boss' orders. Right at that exact second, a massive red stake comes ripping mercilessly through the studio ceiling. The butcher lets out a scream of pure agony as he gets violently skewered and squashed by the flaming drill. Our MC is in absolute shock, totally terrified by the sudden brutality of that on-the-spot execution. The mutilated spook tears its own throat out in a deafening scream, unable to comprehend what the heck was happening. Violent flames swallow the stage as the host's furious voice booms, demanding to know who dared interrupt his precious show. The host's screen glares with threatening intensity, locking all his rage onto a single target. Clenching his fist super tight, the host points straight at the ones responsible for the mess. A literal wall of fire consumes the musical freak, while the entity accuses him of disrespecting the very roots of the program. Ignoring the fact that he's burning the guy alive, he rants that true entertainment doesn't need flashy guests, just its core essence. Losing his mind, the monster screams that the peak of the show is the raw emotion of direct communication and the thrill of a completely unpredictable story. Through the smoke, Saliam realizes his cheap acting totally worked and woke up the television master's true, dormant passions. Walking out of the flames without a scratch, the entity trashes the network producers, calling them garbage who don't deserve to run any show. The monitor flashes a giant, terrifying red eye, declaring that he alone knows how to put on a truly unforgettable performance. Bathed in theatrical light, the host proudly decrees he is the only one fit to carry that burden. The rookie realizes in shock that this creep's power level just shattered all company rules, incinerating a threat way above its own pay grade. The host raises his hand toward the rookie again, pointing out that none of this was part of his grand, original script. But then, the creature genuinely says thanks, swearing the young deer's words completely opened his eyes to the truth. Giving an elegant bow, the monster's screen warps into a smile and promises to shoot him a VIP invite as soon as his new format drops. A violent interdimensional yank throws the surviving trio right onto the freezing floor of their home base. Sprawled on the floor, the tactician finally lets out the breath he was holding, barely believing he just dodged death again. Through heavy tears, the big guy crushes the newbie in a massive bear hug, screaming to the high heavens that the kid is a crazy genius. The raid leader stares at a glowing, super valuable item in her hands, crying because she finally made it out of that hellhole alive. Wiping her face, the woman glares at the rookie and curses him out, calling him a damn hoarder of junk. The golden artifact floats in the air, lighting up the room with a divine glow, proving that insane mission was actually a massive threat. Shaking off the panic of almost turning to ash, the veteran is spooked to realize the rookie just cleared an insanely hard level on only his second day at the company. While our MC was recovering from the freak show, the rest of the company was just grinding through their boring, corporate day-to-day, totally clueless about the bloodbath. Far from that chaotic base, newbie Go Youngyun was looking pretty happy about the measly 66 points she scraped together working hard in the shadows. Distracted by a classic mobile game, the girl calculated her weekly progress and figured she was hitting the exact average management expected. She totally knew her new bosses weren't exactly the friendliest people in the corporate world, but hey, at least nobody here was actively trying to murder her. A long-haired coworker was stressing over the ridiculous price of the Golden Wish ticket, doing the math and realizing it'd take decades to farm that kind of cash. Tapping away at her keyboard, the rookie sat alone wondering if her old training buddies were also suffering under these annoying bureaucratic rules. Missing her old squad, she pulls up the messaging app on her phone to check the company's forgotten group chat. Her master plan was to hit up Solium to shoot the breeze and vent a little about the job, but an urgent alert suddenly starts pinging. The notification sounds flood the quiet office, proving a massive piece of corporate gossip just blew up across the system. Youngyun goes into full panic mode reading the flood of texts about the legendary, bizarre intern who just wrecked an unbeatable anomaly in his first few hours on the clock. After escaping the nightmare, Solium downs a health potion, while his veteran coworker casually mentions management wants to fast-track him to assistant manager right this second. But the team leader grumbles that the other departments blocked the move due to lack of precedent, and she's honestly super thankful for that corporate red tape. After the Tuesday show, everyone needed serious medical attention because they were bleeding like crazy, but the lady admits just breathing is what actually matters. The newbie grips a convenient store bag, flashing back to the terror in there, and secretly admits to himself he really thought he was going to buy the farm. Stoked to be alive, the big guy personally thanks the tactician for saving the entire squad's bacon. Right then, the coworker offers up all his potions and snacks as a thank you, but our MC shoots down the overkill offer instantly. Making excuses for their massive fail, the vet claims the exploration log basically guaranteed a win, and they only dropped their guard because it was supposed to be a low-level run. Completely out of patience, the boss snaps back that it's a pathetic excuse for a veteran and swears she'll prove her worth on the next drop. Staring at the paperwork on his desk, the guy admits he'd really rather not have a next time, and wonders how HQ spun that total disaster in their reports. Boredly sipping her coffee, the woman mentions the division leader should really be pressing upper management, but he's definitely not the type to do that. The partner takes the opening to beg for a promotion recommendation, but she shuts that down immediately, saying she'll quit before that ever happens. The employee just goes back to peacefully drinking her coffee after officially killing the pointless office chatter. Hyped by a notification, Solium announces the leadership meeting is over, and he's finally going to meet his boss face-to-face. He remembers this superior is a literal icon in the urban legends scene, the great savior who fixed everything by just chucking a battery. Suddenly, the office door slides open fast, grabbing the attention of everyone in the room. The big guy jumps out of his chair, immediately to greet the boss who just walked in, making the newbie tense up completely. The big boss casually greets the squad, and the rookie is totally mind-blown to see the mystery man is rocking a literal lizard head. Frozen stiff, our MC can't believe the bizarre, monstrous look of the guy standing right in front of him. Confused, he watches his two coworkers greet the monster totally normally, acting like absolutely nothing weird is going on. Trying to apply some logic, the kid guesses the trauma from the TV host must be messing with his brain and distorting the boss's mask. But his eyes drift down to the guy's waist and notice the protective gear just chilling there normally. Cold sweat runs down the tactician's face as he realizes that massive, terrifying reptilian head is 100% real. The partner formally introduces the kid to the section leader, while the rookie internally questions the sanity of every single person in this room. Calling the boy by his corporate codename, the reptilian creature stares the rookie down dead seriously. The bizarre figure locks intensely onto the junior employee and asks in a deep voice if he's seeing anything weird. Crushed by that terrifying glare, the worker goes into high alert, trying his absolute hardest not to freak out in the middle of base. Thinking fast on his feet, he lies through his teeth, saying his vision is totally fine so he doesn't raise any unwanted red flags. The leader's sharp red eye inspects every millimeter of the kid's reaction, hunting for any sign of BS. But the cheap excuse actually sticks, making the boss nod and move on, while Salim breathes a massive sigh of relief for sounding so natural. Assessing the room, the kid concludes the rest of the team sees a normal human, and only he has the cursed ability to see the real monster. Hiding his brutal shock, our MC promises himself he's going to act completely normal around this freak to guarantee his own survival. The lizard strolls into the middle of the team and bluntly announces he's going to run down all the official decisions regarding that awful incident. Getting down to business, the boss explains the freak show had a fatal double booking caused purely by management screwing up. The leader details that the other squad rushed things way too fast, causing a massive pileup in the event's official schedule. Since the other team took a random 50-minute break, the boss sarcastically assumes they must have stopped for coffee. Moving to the final report, corporate paperwork officially denies giving it a max danger rating because of the high initial success rate. Furious at the BS, the leader yells that an entire squad was massacred and points out the magic extract they bagged proves it was high tier. Super calm, the boss explains that corporate treats that valuable item as a rare fluke and demands hard proof before changing any protocols. Boiling with rage over the system's cheap excuses, the girl threatens to march down to HQ to demand answers, but the big guy holds her back. Glaring fiercely at the leader, she demands to know if that hellscape is going to stay ranked as a basic anomaly, and the man shoots that down. The lizard assures them the company decided to issue a special financial payout to basically buy the group's silence about the disaster. Breaking down the bonus cash, he confirms this payout will be exactly the same as clearing a max difficulty urban legend. The set reward guarantees an insane 30,000 points for each survivor, leaving the veterans totally floored by the amount. Turning to the newbie, the boss crowns Salim as the absolute MVP of the mission, blessing the kid with a massive 40,000 points. Hyped about the absolute windfall, the coworker cheers while the leader jokes that her dream of quitting just got way closer. The woman admits she feels guilty about the rule banning point transfers, feeling bad for cashing in on the kid's hard work, but he waves it off. Secretly, the rookie thinks it's awesome not having a max level clear on his resume, knowing a fast promotion would just drop him into way worse legends. In his head, the terrifying danger of taking one wrong step in that sadistic underworld outweighs any corporate glory from selfish bosses. Totally flipping the heavy mood, his partner calls the tactician over to check his balance directly on the base's military-grade PC. The coworker proudly points out that they're all crazy enough to risk their lives just to hoard enough cash to buy a magic ticket. The leader agrees that everyone here has a clear financial endgame and asks if the kid has learned how to log his hard-earned loot yet. Super enthusiastic, the big guy emphasizes that the virtual balance is basically the exact same thing as their own lives in this place. Our MC logs into the company's official system and internally throws a party when he sees the absurd 40,000 points perfectly deposited in his account. Staring at the glowing screen, he's amazed that this massive payload went straight into his pocket without any sketchy management cuts. The veteran duo watches the newbie's silent joy, sharing that sweet, satisfying feeling of a job extremely well done. Interrupting the awesome virtual payday, the reptilian corporate leader randomly clears his throat, grabbing everyone's attention. The boss points out the undeniable fact that they all walked away from a bloodbath in one piece and filled their pockets with clean cash. The employee takes the hint instantly, radiating pure hype as she suggests they blow that money somewhere really special. Riding the celebration hype, the whole squad heads straight to a high-end, traditional barbecue joint. Taking over the hot grill, the boss snatches the tongs right out of Salim's hands, stating rookies never cook at their first team dinner. The boss promises he isn't going to haze the rookie, telling the guy to just chill and eat up, while the kid tries to politely decline the favor. Chowing down on the meat, the reptilian figure gives the newbie the creeps, and he tries desperately to find literally anywhere else to look. Analyzing how normal this laid-back dinner feels, the tactician is relieved to confirm the monster illusion is strictly messing with his own broken eyes. Downing his ice-cold drink, he internally admits the friendly vibe of the dinner is actually really nice after all that stress. Watching the meat sizzle and the bottles empty out, the rookie realizes the alcohol is also doing wonders for easing the tension of a crazy day of fighting. He gets a little bummed out remembering that his last corporate dinners just involved kissing up to lying clients at his old gig. Enjoying his well-deserved peace, Salim hears the boss's deep voice interrupt his nostalgic thoughts, calling him by his weird codename. Chewing on a nice, juicy piece of barbecue, the creature wants to know if the kid has absolutely zero plans to burn through his newfound fortune. His teammate jumps into the chat, gossiping that she plans to hoard all her divine rewards to cop a luxury wish ticket real soon. Ignoring the employee's super hyped interruption, the shady boss and the young rookie lock into a long, silent stare over the feast. Not blinking at the silence, our MC takes the perfect opening to ask if the big guy has any solid recommendations from the store. In his sharp mind, the newbie feels like he's figured out the cheat codes for this weird lizard and just needs to use the exact right dialogue options. Keeping a super professional and direct vibe, he asks what would be the most practical way to invest his blood money. The mysterious man listens closely and takes a dramatic, silent pause to evaluate the real tactical needs of his fresh recruit. With the firm, decisive tone of someone who knows danger, the reptilian figure declares that the best long-term investment is crafting totally custom gear. Completely caught off guard, Salim admits to himself he definitely didn't expect that topic to come up here. One of the main gimmicks for employees at this crazy company is literally owning totally exclusive gear. Even if you get dropped straight into a terrifying urban legend, the corporate duty of harvesting those famous magic potions is still mandatory for everybody. To stop the team from getting wiped out without making a profit, the company issues exclusive weapons that level up as your rank goes up. Obviously, these tools don't grant god-tier powers that can nuke the whole stage, they just act as a nice little stat boost. Since the gear is strictly meant for field exploration, the rookie admits he only knows some messy bits and pieces about the setup. Walking through the building, the veteran explains that this annex is used to isolate and store urban legends classified as relatively safe and highly useful. Using the office radio as a prime example, he breaks down how the company cherry-picks functional stories that can actually predict the day's luck. Leading the way like it's nothing, the team boss adds that the official corporate system tags these specific anomalies as Twilight level. The Twilight tier covers Category E entities, but they get their own special badge for being way more useful or way less lethal than normal threats. The lizard-headed corporate leader points out that these specific dark entities are also used directly to craft the coveted weaponry. Brain working fast, the kid remembers the field team usually uses exactly 3 different Twilight legends to forge their items. Running through the names of the Toymaker, the Seed Kit, and the offering right of the tactician anxiously wonders which one he's gonna get. Suddenly, the big guy lights up and points ahead, realizing they finally found the guy officially in charge of access to the restricted sector. Staring at the cold reception desk, the group spots a hooded, super mysterious employee just waiting silently behind the info counter. Taking point on the op, the big partner politely introduces himself and requests immediate clearance for darkness number 99. The creepy clerk doesn't say a single word, just stares at the computer screen and types the info in agonizingly slowly. In totally terrifying silence, the weird dude slides a plain metal access card right across the freezing counter. Gripping the corporate pass tight, Salim mentally preps himself to bravely face yet another bizarre company stage. The team hustles down a long, poorly lit hallway that feels like it's leading them straight into the absolute bowels of the building. Stopping dead in front of a solid steel door, the experienced coworker firmly announces they've finally reached the promised land. Keycard in hand, the newbie unlocks the heavy vault door and hears the sharp click of the security lock opening the dark paths. Staring at a machine covered in vines and glowing lights, the kid recognizes the famous side kit, which clones anything using pure moonlight. The boss smiles, explaining this department handles the machine, and you just pop 2 normal things into it for the system to spit out a brand new weapon. Getting straight to the point, the rookie asks if this miracle process costs anything, and the big guy confirms firing up legends in the annex requires a hefty fee. Shock hits the kid right in the chest when he finds out he has to cough up a staggering 1,000 hard-earned points just to craft one invention. Pissed off by the heavy extortion fee, he argues with the lizard boss that the mercenary company should really be covering the cost of tactical gear. Trying to soften the financial blow, his partner mentions managers get to use the contraption for free, making the kid seriously rethink his urgent career goals. The short-haired lady locks eyes with the recruit, asking for his final call, since blowing that much cash at once hurts anybody's wallet. The reptilian boss backs up the crazy idea with serious conviction in his deep voice, swearing his blind recommendation has a very good reason behind it. The partner argues that taking advice from the heavy hitter is top-tier field tactics, which totally convinces the newbie to gamble his virtual cash. Stepping up to the plate, the boy confirms the transaction and starts going over the basic rules of the machine that sucks up and eats whatever relics you put on the trays. The secret manual made it super clear. The glowing hole swallows everything into its stomach and spits out a tool that combines the best stats. Knowing that, Salim realizes he needs to pick up materials with massive utility, since he's already memorized all the exploration tips. Noticing his coworker's tactical hesitation, the big guy flashes a huge smile, promising the squad loves loaning out trash to forge a rookie's first defense. Super hyped for some gossip, the big guy pokes the lizard boss, who is standing with his arms crossed, begging the creature to flex his artifact a little. Pulling a basic butter knife out of his deep pockets, the beastly man swears the crappy blade can literally slice the air and launch things far away. Instantly, the tactician figures out the boss sent that miracle battery using that exact spatial strike, getting a bit bummed that it's just a pure support item. Shifting his bright focus to his 2 nosy coworkers, our MC excitedly asks what kind of killer tricks are hiding in their weapons. The fearless girl rubs the magic button on her collar, swearing she doesn't have any combat stats, which lights a massive genius bulb in his brain. Putting together the wonders of his sneaky alien store, the newbie totally scraps the idea of taking his team's humble support gear and makes a wild, ambitious call right there. Running on pure high-risk instinct, he just says thanks for being bros and locks both eyes deep onto the glowing red screen. The retro electronic panel signals that the dark relic is starving, just waiting to mercilessly devour its young master's insane creations. Right then, the squad leader raises her hand, ordering the rookie to never, ever throw even a wild weed into the hungry machine if he wants to live another day. Even though the doors lock living things out, she grumbles angrily that the crazy beast inside the boiling plate causes horrific damage if idiots mess around. Taking a real close look at the gloomy set, the rookie suddenly realizes all the flowers decorating the place are actually just cheap plastic fakes. A thick drop of sweat rolls all the way down his forehead, as a tragic memory from the macabre manual clicks perfectly into place in his brain. The logs detailed a bloody massacre where some moron rookie threw a real weed into the haunted machine, birthing an abomination that shrieked in the dark. The chaotic summary perfectly stated that the mess required 7 brutal days of internal security cleanup, costing 3 precious lives as the price tag. Ignoring the terrifying ghost story, the lizard crosses his arms and literally teaches him how to put useless junk into the machine, fully knowing the fusion could leak out. Bravely facing the hidden item slot, the kid secretly admits his mental inventory is already tearing through his entire shopping haul. Luckily for his future victory, hacking the manager account paid for some formidable magic relics that are perfect for this lethal gamble. Analyzing his absurd junk, he zeroes in on the dangerous power of the glowing yellow seal, knowing it would definitely do epic damage in a new form. But completely flipping the interdimensional script, the recruit grabs a gorgeous circular silver coin imported from the space system as his base plate. The reptilian boss harshly questions where the heck that came from, and Salium hits back with an innocent smile, lying that it's just a very meaningful keepsake. Not seeing any red flags, the veteran duo happily admires the awesome utility and super practical, solid shape of the little coin the rookie is holding. With the red slits of the dragon eye locked on him, the guy sweats nervously, worrying about the boss's massive intellect exposing his giant heist. But swallowing his embarrassing cowardice instantly, the guy concludes that literally anyone could pick up magic pebbles walking through the actual hellish buildings. If he ever gets lethally pressed in a locked interrogation room later, he's just gonna swear the bling was a super lucky find. Quickly setting up the red buttons, the rookie tosses his dangerous chips into the magic drawer, triggering the whole infernal machine behind his back. Like a gardener tying his soul to a weed, the insane system rips the organic genes from the kid and finalizes the long credentialing process. The cylinder roars, spinning at a furious speed while beams of glowing data scan and endlessly mix the invisible, grand heritage of the items. A blinding, pure green flash detonates, lighting up the room and blasting powerful gusts of wind right into the shocked recruit's face. With thick, toxic smoke tearing through the exhausted pipes of the overworked machine, the big boss politely bows to the new owner of the rich custom gear. Dropping back into Shadow Army mode, the leader warns him to go test his new toy somewhere else, pointing out how cursed this room really is. But brushing off the legend's bitterness with a huge sigh and a smile, the woman praises her friend's miracle comeback and kicks him back to base for some final rest. Feeling his body turn to mush just at the divine mention of the word bed, Salium mumbles and vanishes to his room without even thinking about looking back. Already buried in the untouchable, contagious silence of his home sanctuary, he mentally reviews the screen of the insane fusion he just cooked up. His absurd master plan was to grind the corporate blade into the enigmatic, glowing mix of alien silver bathed in cosmic power. However, staring with massive disappointment at the product resting lightly on his red palm from the smoke, he just sees something way too useless. His blood boils with pure, irrational spite, his brain screaming that the stupid magic gacha just decided to spit out worthless plastic toys. Watching the silver reflection of the piece with pure, murderous suspicion in his narrowed eyes, he chokes down the rage of failing so miserably at his schemes. Trying to salvage the lost reins of his own chaotic creation, his tactical brain screams the obvious: throwing stuff around is just begging for pure bad luck. Furiously applying ultimate destructive logic, Salium snaps his thumb, launching the silver disc straight at the white ceiling. A sharp crack dominates the quiet room, cutting the boredom in half, officially marking the violent impact against the smooth hardwood floors. Focusing on the tiny silver item in his palm, Salium tries to figure out what the heck it actually is. A translucent hand hovers over his phone, demanding he insert a coin to make it work. He tests it by tossing a 101 coin, but a system error quickly tells him that's the wrong change. Getting the gist, our MC decides to try again, using the 501 coin. With a quick flick, the guy launches the new change straight at the ghost. The spectral hand snatches the silver right out of the air in a totally bizarre way, leaving the recruit completely stunned. The guy watches every detail of the interaction, trying to process this magic insanity. Suddenly, the item melts and sinks right into his skin, sending a weird sensation through his entire body. A massive surge of dark energy slides across the floor, morphing into a giant, shadowy hand. Wiggling his own fingers, the kid watches the spectral projection flawlessly copy his exact moves on the other side. Hyped by the discovery, our MC wonders if this is the true power of his custom gear. The shadow follows his muscle commands, basically acting as a literal third hand. Wanting to test how physically precise it is, he makes the floating limb grab a simple pen. Using his mirrored copy, the tactician starts doodling on a notebook across the room on his desk. The handwriting comes out exactly like his own, proving the shadow's strength and dexterity are ridiculously accurate. Focusing on practical tests, he opens doors and pulls off caps, confirming the shadow has a reach of about 3 meters. The max time he can keep the ability active seems to be around 5 quick seconds. That absolutely crushes the lizard boss's knife, since he can completely bypass spatial limits now. Not to mention the massive defensive perk of never having to touch cursed junk with his actual bare hands again. Reviewing his secret loot, the tactician declares that gambling on the magic machine was a total home run. He pulls the covers up in bed, thinking paying a tiny coin for literal telekinesis is a completely fair trade. Chilling in his dark room, Salim realizes his body feels weirdly relaxed and free of chronic pain. The kid credits that to his insane luck of working with partners who didn't totally panic under massive pressure. Thinking about the lizard leader makes him super grateful for the blind trust of a team that handed over their gear at the perfect moment. Thinking about his base crew, the rookie seriously starts believing he can survive all this if he plays it smart. Quietly enduring the monstrous insanity actually seems like a much more viable and less fatal path now. But looking at the glowing building in the distance, he frustratedly admits that chill mindset didn't last long at all. Right in the main office, the blue-haired leader locks onto the rookie, looking like she brought some serious corporate news. Without beating around the bush, the woman announces that the entire squad's assignment was just randomly changed. Confused, the newbie checks his phone, which is blowing up with panicked texts endlessly gossiping about the reassignment. The company board states that role changes only happen when employees smash their annual profit caps. Shocked, with a shadow covering his face, the kid refuses to accept he just got promoted on his third day. Right then, an official system alert pops up out of nowhere, detailing the flawless resolution of the bloody incident. The highlighted corporate code confirms the brutal, highly profitable sweep of the old Tuesday death show. Super hyped, the cute screen mascot cheers, announcing the absurd pile of wealth they bagged from the risky mission. Raking in 40,000 points skyrocketed the newbie straight to the top of the company stats, exposing him way too much to management. Trying to keep his head straight, he correctly guesses that this dangerous shift is the direct result of that impossible win. Annoyed by how slow he's processing it, the blue-haired leader squints and asks if the guy even read the terrifying notifications. The tactician chokes back a sob, whispering to ask if their valuable team is gonna get split up across different sectors. Sipping her coffee slowly, the woman shoots down the transfer rumor, stating that only their workload's difficulty is going up. Waving the dry reports, she explains that before, they only had to deal with anomalies that came with perfect, step-by-step manuals. But with the team's new superstar status, their new gig is clearing stages where the guides literally don't exist. Freaking out over the absolute lack of intel, the rookie realizes they're getting tossed into completely sealed urban legends. The boss grumbles that this is the worst corporate flaw, using the threat of real death as a reward for being a good worker. Kicking the office door wide open, the big lizard boss struts in, casually greeting the crew. The veteran glares at the newcomer, furiously demanding to know if sending the squad in totally blind isn't just a straight-up execution order. Sweating ice over the dropped bomb, the rookie searches his brain for any loophole in the cursed rules that might save them. The lizard boss fires back coldly, arguing that amateurs drop dead even when they read the safe playbooks. Pissed off by that cruel logic, the woman doubles down, asking if flying blind doesn't multiply the mortality rate by 1,000. Scratching his monstrously thick neck, the superior claims he never sees much difference when he just solves crises with pure brawling. Cutting through this pointless argument about potential funerals, Salim fires his vital question, demanding to know if this comes with a bonus. The veteran coworker blinks in shock as soon as the reptile makes the fat stack of extra funds official. Hearing about the cash grabs the warrior's attention, making her lock a deadly, fascinated stare right onto the suited beast. The big guy stutters, trembling as he probes about the payout size, and hears from the lizard that the money is absolutely insane. Breaking down the bloody system, he swears that obscure zones vomit up to 15 times more points than the old ones. The kid stares deep into the trio's eyes and sees the hungry glare of totally out-of-control compulsive gamblers. Reviewing his own secrets, however, he figures this play is actually amazing since he's got whole encyclopedias stored in his brain. Coins rain through the kid's imagination as he labels this hazardous bloodbath a triple capital gain. Totally seduced, the crew led by the lizard breaks the barrier, eagerly marching toward those fat bank accounts. The elevator's digital display stops exactly on the 17th floor, hitting the killing floor head-on. Walking along, the leader narrates that the luxury zone at the top only houses the brains of the company's core engineering team. It's in these super bright havens that the eggheads track all the dark disasters that haven't even been named yet. Guided by the heavy reptile, the gang walks through wings painted with a pristine, hospital white finish everywhere. Saliam notices a bunch of people staring at the newcomers and suspects his quiz show victory forged his absurd new fame. Clutching his anxious hand, the kid internally decrees that no clean fortune is ever going to come out of the dangers in this weird place. Standing right by the main divider, a sharply dressed man with glasses smiles sweetly at the armed fighters. His mind drifts, thinking about standard exhaustion and the nightly laziness of not wanting to cross the rug just to hit the lights. A funny mental image of the busy shadow clicking the light switch proves that divine tools are great for basic perks. Snapping back from the relaxing clouds, the kid notices the elegant gentleman bowing perfectly to the scaly leader. The tactician snoops on the soft-looking guy, wondering if this preppy dude hides the lethal skills needed to be in such an elite sector. Pushing up his shiny glasses, the mysterious guy flashes a beautiful smile right at the observant rookie. He instantly introduces himself as Quack Jigang, the genius commander who heads the building's top research team. Saliam stares at the name tag and analyzes the superior's vibe, feeling like that forced chivalry gives off a heavy, lethal buzz. Playing the robotic formality game perfectly, the hunter bows and immediately fishes a sweet compliment from the satisfied manager. The grumpy partner squeezes her forearm, growling super quietly, absolutely hating the disguised snobby air of that suited guy. The tactician reflects that the jump scare wasn't caused by the division manager. He soon realizes the surprise came because another major bigwig just showed up on the scene. Quack Jigang is the famous researcher responsible for writing the starter manuals for all the new urban legends. Since the guy has a reputation in the logs for being super friendly, Saliam decides it's best to just act natural. Right then, the big lizard boss announces that the two teams are going to be working together a lot from now on. The rookie is confused and asks why they even need a direct order to do that. To clear things up, Jigang reveals his department studies the absolute best ways to raid brand new stages. Using the data gathered from raw, brute force exploration, the researchers forge the official survival guides. Putting the pieces together, the newbie realizes his squad is basically the giant guinea pig feeding the system. Keeping up a super friendly vibe, the scientist officially welcomes the new members to the group. The giant reptile immediately orders everyone to grab their fear collectors and read the civilian reports without any delays. The veteran coworker takes the opening to whisper at Saliam to wipe that shocked look off his face fast. Turning his head slightly, the kid hears someone suddenly call out to him in the middle of the hallway. Chilling in his chair, Jigang strikes up a conversation directly with the hotshot prodigy rookie. He pulls up a virtual spreadsheet and invites the kid to place a cash bet on the threat level. Shooting down the offer instantly, the guy turns his back and says he's going to pass on the little game. He argues the level could literally be fatal and points out the lizard boss is totally ignoring how messed up this bet is. Laughing it off casually, the suited guy claims there's a limit to respect in the corporate environment. The tactician notes the guy has a flawless mask, while the scientist swears nobody is going to die over a little game. Without dragging it out, the researcher drops a heavy folder of documents onto the desk. The scientist guarantees the current anomaly isn't too bad, since a ton of civilians actually made it out in one piece. Turns out the disaster agency was putting heavy pressure on the board to close this case once and for all. Shoving the paper into the rookie's hands, he tells the team to focus purely on the details of this specific scenario. Jigang tries to calm everyone down, assuring them the max threat of this place is just a mid-tier category. But the kid's face freezes in pure terror when he reads that the main target involves freaking internet clowns. Sensing the tension, the suited guy holds out a tablet and tells the newbie to watch a civilian recording. The screen shows a guy in clown makeup, swaying his body bizarrely in the pitch dark. Suddenly, the figure cracks a grotesque, terrifying smile, showing off razor-sharp teeth. The footage violently distorts, showing the creature screaming a sick, blood-soaked laugh. The rookie jumps out of his skin, imagining monstrous hands violently grabbing his shoulders. The shock of the video makes the newbie absolutely certain he knows the exact origins of this legend. Pure panic instantly takes over the kid's body, catching the researcher's attention in the room. In a total freakout, the boy screams, "Excuse me," and bolts, while the scientist just laughs and wishes him a good trip. Sweating cold bullets in the base hallways, the tactician mentally begs them to cancel the triple point event. Staring at the mental image of the killer clown, he swears to himself he is never, ever stepping foot in that hell. But inevitable fate drags the squad straight to the dreaded anomaly, where the monster absolutely hates visitors. Already inside the official urban legend, our MC wears a sleep mask to protect his vision at the start. Super carefully, he peeks one eye open under the fabric to check out the vibe of the room. The team is walking down an endless hallway, totally packed, with bizarre paintings on the gloomy walls. Analyzing the art, Salim notices the faces aren't just wearing normal circus makeup. Actually, the paintings show real people with their bones and muscles brutally twisted to mimic the features. Hanging around this place makes the expressions in the frames get more distorted and grotesque the longer you stay. All the missing civilians end up as bloody decorations, which is already enough plot for a full horror movie. The kid remembers he almost had a heart attack just from the entry method and states anyone would be crying in fear here. But the group leader strolls along super chill, commenting that the place is well lit and doesn't seem that dangerous. Trying to find the logic, the rookie asks if the pause is for their eyes to focus, and the lizard confirms a 60-second wait time. The tactician can't comprehend how the boss can just order everyone to stay blind in a cursed hallway where literally anything could happen. Demanding obedience, his partner tells the kid to just shut his eyes already, proving the whole team is fine with this insanity. This absurd calmness makes Salim realize his squadmates simply don't feel fear at all. They are exactly the kind of crazy people who think horror movies are boring and only get an adrenaline rush from the real threat of death. The leader keeps reading the manual like it's nothing, while the newbie trembles, thinking nobody would stay sane if the paintings started moving. Not caring about the mood, the lizard casually mentions some survivors escaped by jumping through empty frames. The kid remembers that stabbing the canvases makes the monsters pop out to hunt, and promises to run if anything jumps at him. Planning the strat, the boss suggests attacking every hour, confident they can kill the bugs if they crawl out slowly. Suddenly, the partner points super excitedly at a specific painting, claiming it looks exactly like a real movie poster. Swallowing his exploration jitters, the newbie opens his eyes super slowly to check out his coworker's target. The frame shows a pale, threatening face with glowing eyes staring right into the soul of anyone walking by. The look perfectly matches the descriptions of the missing civilians, confirming the macabre fate of the poor victims. Playing with danger, the woman asks if her coworker wants the honor of touching the freak first. Dead serious, Salim raises his hand, asking for 1 second of peace, and announces he just cooked up the perfect escape plan. The sudden declaration catches the veteran duo completely off guard in the middle of that dark, dangerous hallway. The kid knows the mission barely started, but the only way a coward survives here is by wrapping things up insanely fast. Gripping a shiny coin in his hand, the grand tactician orders the start of the high-speed escape plan. With a confident smirk on his face, he tosses the small metal object straight into the air. The silver coin spins, floating under the sinister glow of the cursed room. Right after the toss, a spectral white glove spawns out of nowhere, hovering right in front of the shocked squad. The blue-haired boss asks if that's his custom gear, and the kid agrees, cashing in some future favors. Proving the magic's power, the ghost projection violently clenches its fingers into a solid fist. The shadow machine guns the painting with devastating, high-speed punches, totally mimicking those funny internet-streamed donations. The rookie controls the destruction while casually clapping from a distance, like he's watching an entertaining live stream. Satisfied with the opening damage, he finally explains to his partners that the floating limb is his weapon's hidden power. The activation requirement is just paying a tiny coin to get full remote control. The newbie swears that violent, precise fist is exactly the missing piece they needed to finish this horror story. Analyzing the legend up close, he figured out the furious monsters that attack invaders are just punishments for picking the wrong choices. To win for good, Salim tells the group to run and hunt down the one correct painting he describes as soon as he gives the big signal. The scientist begs for the big boss's attention with serious urgency. Being super understanding with the newbies, the giant lizard quickly accepts the request, agreeing with the idea. With that, G-Gang walks off stretching his body, claiming following the kid won't cause any issues. The rookie mentally complains about the situation, assuming they wouldn't even need to run that much. Since he considers himself a massive coward, he knows he'd never have the guts to actually try fighting the monster. Focused purely on surviving, the tactician declares that a fast getaway is the only real option. The system clocks almost 5 minutes into the mission, while the big screen announces the brutal start of the speed run. Far away, the assistant's voice breaks the silence, asking what the challenge level is gonna be this time. Ji-gang casually evaluates the situation and bets the legend's tier will stay right around its usual average. The assistant agrees with the bet, getting a warning not to blab about their little gambling pool to the other teams. Annoyed, Lee internally grumbles about his boss's talent for killing the mood with that fake friendliness. But the guy admits the real reason he's ticked off is that arrogant rookie. Salim's sheer audacity to look his own boss in the eye still has the assistant boiling with rage. Fueled by hate, Lee types anonymously in the betting group, praying the kid bites the dust in there. Cutting the venom, Ji-gang demands the final report before the shift ends, making his coworker sigh from pure exhaustion. Checking the wall clock, he boredly concludes the team isn't getting out of there anytime soon. The system pulls up the profiles of the victims who watched the cursed clown video on the internet. Scanning the data, the assistant admits a few lucky ones actually manage to make it out of there alive. Official reports pointed out the escape route involved jumping through a specific empty frame. The problem is the lack of a pattern in the statements made it impossible to figure out exactly which painting was the exit. The strategy meant waking up the violent creatures with pure brawling while trying not to get squashed to death. Lee has a good time imagining the squad's despair as they run in circles, and guarantees there will be casualties. Expecting the worst, the guy chills in his chair until the max clear alert suddenly explodes on the screen. The jump scare from the sudden notice makes the assistant bug his eyes out, totally mind blown. The entire base goes into full shock, trying to process what the heck just happened. The clock shows very little time, proving the lethal threat was wiped out in a measly 26 minutes. Super hyped about the record time, Ji-gang asks if the giant lizard just brute-forced everything again. The blue-haired leader denies the credit, pointing out the team's rookie was the real MVP of the success. The tactician walks up right behind them, adjusting his tie after escaping yet another corporate hellhole. Impressed with the kid, the scientist asks how a fresh hire pulled off this impossible feat. Staring at his curious bosses, the newbie runs down the crucial details he spotted on the set. Keeping his cool, the tactician takes on the challenge of perfectly explaining the anomaly's mechanics. The guy starts by reminding them the cursed video was called "The Pierrot Hates You." That difference was the major key to the puzzle, since translations usually mix up the terms in their language. While normal clowns wear bright colors and do fun acrobatics to make the crowd laugh, the Pierrot follows the melancholy French style, rocking black and white makeup with a super sad face. Knowing the title of the place, logic dictated the real target would never be the monster chasing them. To prove his theory, the newbie searched everywhere for a painting rocking those monochromatic tones. Avoiding direct contact, he used his secret skill to touch the frame from a completely safe distance. With that, the dark creature instantly evaporated, unlocking the escape route the lethal mission demanded. Wrapping up his detailed breakdown, the guy swears the whole mystery was really just that simple. The suited guy is amazed, hearing the kid solve the riddle flawlessly on his very first run. Suddenly, the researcher raises a finger, noticing one essential detail was left out of that story. The scientist asks how the kid managed to see colors in the dark, since turning on the lights attracts the freaks. Sweating cold bullets from nervousness, the rookie tries to cook up an excuse as he feels the lizard's crushing presence. Thinking fast, Salim makes up a lie that he managed to piece together an improvised guide by reading his veteran co-worker's notebook. Flipping through the scribbled notes, the researcher confirms the prodigy cracked the code just using preliminary data. Super tense, Assistant Lee hears that the kid's genius just fast-tracked months of base bureaucracy. This kind of brutal efficiency makes zero sense to the guys who have been studying these anomalies for ages. Lee glares heavily at the newbie, seriously questioning if this kid isn't actually a monster disguised as a human. Breaking the tension, the big guy mentions the piece of fabric they brought back from the mission looks a little different. Carefully holding the white cloth, the tactician checks out the mysterious details of the recovered item. His fresh memory reveals the lizard literally squashed the clown into the floor when the bug tried to sprint away. Trembling with fear, the assistant bitterly concludes the boss and the newbie make a duo of totally uncontrollable beasts. Watching the team dynamic up close, the researcher also starts getting suspicious of where all that crazy strength came from. Ignoring the tension, Jigang holds out his hand and asks if the miracle rookie has received any business cards down there yet. The kid plays dumb, answering that his low rank doesn't grant him those corporate luxury perks yet. With a sharp smile, the suited guy praises the little act and directly asks for the secret pamphlet he stashed away. A quick click in the base system opens confidential files investigating the mysterious pharmaceutical company. The intel shows this corporation sells miracle pills that can supposedly reverse any hair loss. The bizarre ad plastered on the big screen claims to have the perfect cure for literally any health issue. Their flashy slogan declares they are the Grand Magic Corporation, focused on creating medical miracles. Two smiling foxes wrap up the daydream commercial, inviting everyone to come work at the great company. Mic in hand, the stage host grabs the attention of the survivors gathered there. The exhausted crowd listens to the suited guy scream that they are all the grand winners of the ruthless selection process. Hearing that familiar name again, Salim tries to jog his memory to remember where he's run into this absurd brand before. The shady promise claimed the company could manufacture literally any substance the human mind desires. The stage speech keeps kissing up to the rookies for surviving HQ's brutal new hire filter. Super hyped, the speaker congratulates the group and announces their direct transfer to the field squad. The big screen flashes the team's cursed crest, confirming they've been forcefully drafted into the worst department at the base. Totally lost, a coworker next to him whispers he never imagined a pharma company dealt with urban legends. The tactician realizes with pure hatred that this sick system uses the real threat of death as a basic job interview. Flat out refusing this cruel fate, the guy sprints down the aisle, wanting to ditch this whole thing for good. But a beam of light blocks his path, while the man on stage gives a heads up about the fast-tracked probation period. Staring down the trapped crowd, the shadow on stage declares the lethal evaluation will test everyone's professional aptitude. The suited host happily claims the active participation of everyone here is absolutely essential to make the process work. Snapping his fingers confidently, he declares the team will hunt down and eliminate any freeloaders trying to coast by. Just then, the lights randomly cut out, leaving the confused candidates in the dark, wondering if this is just a new presentation. But a sudden flash floods the room, spooking the group who has no clue what just happened to the auditorium. A bizarre announcement blares from the speakers, thanking passengers for using the Abyss transit system, heading to the final destination. Staring at the train car's digital sign, some civilians think they're in a subway and actually wonder if this is some VR experience. Not getting the scene change, the crowd mutters, trying to figure out if the place moved, and complains that the doors just won't open. Still looking for normal logic, they ask if they fell into an immersive escape room or if the company is testing new tech. Watching the whole mess, Salim knows damn well this bizarre situation has zero to do with modern technology. Let alone a simple escape game, but the tactician admits nobody here could have predicted this level of insanity. He remembers the company's crazy recruitment, ad promising miracles and wonders how a job turned into this much chaos. This cursed job opening dragged the kid straight into the company's dreaded field missions department. The badge swinging around the boy's neck officially proves his dangerous link to the corporate exploration squad. With that, his phone buzzes, warning that the dreaded lethal survival game just started at the stop known as Sorrow Station. Taking a step forward in the dark car, the rookie locks completely onto the imminent danger that just spawned around him. Checking out the gloomy vibe, our MC realizes in terror that he literally just dropped right into an urban legend. The bizarre system welcomes him while he tries to recall the heavy exhaustion of his last commute home. Back then, the kid just wanted to get to his apartment so he could finally sleep and finish his laundry. Thanks to the brutal grind of his routine, he ended up dozing off on the seat and woke up with a jump, totally confused. Apparently, the guy was still sitting inside a normal subway car, lit by standard white lights. Looking around, the ride seemed like any regular commute, but he quickly started questioning where the heck he was. The tactician's sharp intuition was blaring, warning him that something was very, very wrong with this transport. The disturbing silence and weird glitches proved the set was nothing more than a highly engineered, fatal trap. Analyzing their corporate coldness, Salim figures out the company uses this legend to violently weed out new hires. Soon, the digital signs start flashing like crazy, confirming their bizarre arrival at Sorrow Station. The automated voice tells passengers to get off immediately, and the big safety doors start sliding open. The warning echoes through the car, stating the train will be sealed in 30 seconds, with zero chance of coming back. Freezing smoke floods the platform, revealing the dark sign with the macabre name of the mandatory stop. Ignoring the invisible danger, the crowd notices the place looks pretty normal and quickly suggests everyone get out fast. Listening to the group rushing to escape before the doors lock, the rookie just curses the annoying situation. An eager guy steps forward, guaranteeing the place looks super chill, despite the really weird name. Suddenly, Salim jumps in front, grabbing the doorframe tight to warn everyone it's way safer to just stay in the car. Keeping a straight face, the kid asks where in the country there's a train stop literally named Sorrow. The suited guy gets pissed at the interruption and demands to know if the kid is gonna take the blame if they get trapped in here. Trying to defuse the pointless fight, another candidate agrees with the newbie, suggesting they scope out the area a bit longer. Immediately, the train's PA system blasts a piercing alarm, warning that the main lockdown has started. Panic hits the rushed guy, who screams for everyone to run out before the exit vanishes for good. Tripping hard on the way out, the dude almost faceplants onto the freezing floor trying to save his own skin. A small chunk of the group manages to cross the barrier, feeling massive relief at escaping the sealed transport. But a shocked young guy leans on the clear glass, frustratedly whining that he couldn't run fast enough. Watching the guy trapped with him, the tactician blames their sheer stupidity for that totally unnecessary delay. Deep down, our MC fully gets that terror blinds people, making them run without a second thought. The red timer cuts the kid's thoughts off as it hits zero in a brutal final way. Out on the platform, the coward nervously asks if the rookies who stayed inside are gonna be okay. The arrogant coworker mocks the situation, claiming it was their choice to stay, so now they can cry about it on the train. Finishing his mean joke, the guy laughs until he feels a weird, gooey drop splatter right on his head. Totally confused by the random mess, the man looks up trying to figure out where the heck that gross stuff came from. A brutal blast of thick blood drops from the dark ceiling, bathing the suited guy in absolute terror. The candidate bugs his red-soaked eyes out, screaming in panic to figure out what kind of lethal slime this is. Running for his life, he yells that the station's ceiling is melting goo right on top of them. But a crushing waterfall of blood floods the platform, drowning the man as he begs the void for help. The instant slaughter swallows all the runners outside in a massive pool of violence and pure despair. Safe behind the glass doors, Salim watches the bloody massacre with a blank, hyper-focused stare. That free bloodbath confirmed, without a shadow of a doubt, the ruthless lethality of the base's corporate world. With bloody hands slamming against the glass, a tragic fate permanently sealed the end of those who made a rash choice. The red glow floods the car, showing the survivors' panic, marking the true start of the deadly test. The metal transport starts moving again, leaving the soaked platform of human remains behind in the dark. The Daydream Company's official system runs all the hidden zones strictly classified as the darkness. Translated to the real world, this dark title directly refers to the urban legends that devour innocent civilians. And to keep total control over the fear, the company just ships its employees straight into these stories. The train picks up speed down the dark tracks, proving employee selection always goes down right here. Under this brutal survival format forced by the company, the other candidates completely break down sobbing. Honestly, Salim admits he's got a massive tactical edge over all the panicked newbies in this car. After all, knowing these legends inside and out means he can master the valuable drops just like an op manga protagonist. Hacking the company using meta-knowledge sounded awesome in theory, but the kid admits there's one fatal flaw. Squeezing his own hands tight, he faces the harsh reality of his biggest, most game-ending weakness. Turns out, the rookie is deathly afraid of the dark and can never, ever look directly at scary creatures in real life. His obsession with macabre stories was strictly limited to reading plain text and wiki articles on the internet. Any illustration that was even slightly disturbing was already more than enough to make this scaredy cat pass out on the spot. He always avoided clicking on haunted videos just because of the horrifying thumbnails that popped up on his monitor. No matter how much the plot demanded full visual immersion, our MC preferred to apologize and accept his own cowardice. Ironically, the absurd encyclopedic knowledge he carried in his head came solely from letters tossed on a dark background. Even his friends roasted him in texts, bringing up the time he ghosted a girl just so he wouldn't have to watch a horror movie. And now this exact same scaredy cat was officially drafted to work in the company's dreaded Suicide Squad. Staring at the last 8 living passengers in the hellish car, the guy realizes he is completely and utterly screwed. The train's sign announces their arrival at Hate Station, doors opening on the right, slumped on the floor. Our MC just groans at this new infernal stop. A blood-soaked man slams against the glass door, begging them to just end his misery once and for all. Watching the terrifying scene, the kid completely freezes, unable to grasp the bizarre situation playing out in front of him. Right then, a mysterious notebook drops to the floor with a sharp smack. The cover advertises a first-place prize of real-world merch. Reading that weird title, Salim tries to process exactly what this special box is supposed to be. The guy notices the other passengers are completely ignoring the object and guesses the item is invisible to everyone else. In the back of the car, tension stays sky-high as the survivors try to help each other after the shocking massacre on the platform. Keeping it super stealthy, he decides to snag the notebook without drawing any unwanted heat from the terrified crowd. Suddenly, a round black button with a big yellow X pops up in front of him, getting pressed instantly. Holding the small metal accessory in his palm, the rookie wonders what kind of junk this is. Checking it out closely, he is absolutely certain this is the exact same official merch he bought a while back. The digital clock in the kid's mind starts rewinding super fast, showing time rolling backward through space. A clear memory from a few hours ago pops up, showing a totally unfriendly reception desk covered in dark blood. 2 kids stare in shock at a macabre sign, giving a terrifying welcome to the explorers of the darkness. They're at a horror pop-up shop, where a girl laughs at the massive jump scare her annoyed friend just walked into. It all went down when the guy visited the official pop-up store for his favorite horror game, rocking a heavy hoodie. The game's universe is entirely focused on investigating the famous, terrifying supernatural events classified as the darkness. Acting like a massive fanboy of the franchise, he stuffed his shopping basket with a ton of exclusive event merch. At the register, he took the big bag the cashier offered while hearing people whisper if he was some scalper reseller. Dying of embarrassment, the guy pulls his hood up, grumbling internally that he burned his annual vacation time just to hoard everything for himself. The worst part of his corporate addiction is that he'd already clocked in at this exact same shop last week without anyone knowing. Only the lucky roulette event remained untouched because he was too embarrassed to play a game like a grown man in front of everybody. But a super hyped employee pointed out it was the last day of the promo and finally talked him into rolling the dice. Accepting his defeat to imminent consumerism, he agrees to play and follows the cashier, silently thanking him for the push. The massive digital roulette screen glows in front of him, ready to kick off the grand apocalypse prophecy game of chance. The host explains he just needs to smack the red stop button at any time to instantly lock in his prize tier. With zero expectations of winning, our MC hits the button, fully believing he's just gonna take home a basic participation trophy. Planning to just grab a notepad, the wheel spins fast and lands flawlessly on the tiny, golden first-place slice. The absolute shock is so huge he freezes, staring at the machine, unable to believe the miracle he just pulled off. A shower of confetti and loud cheering takes over the store, congratulating the super-rare grand winner of the main round. The hyped cashier hands over the luxury black prize box, while the ecstatic fanboy can barely process his own insane luck. They ask for the winner's name to print up some exclusive, personalized merch right there at the pop-up counter. Accepting the corporate freebie, he hands over his ID, politely letting them know his name is Kim Salim. The retro electronic panel boots up the option to create a custom character right inside that cursed horror universe. The machine spits out a brand new official employee badge for the field exploration team of the feared, multi-million-dollar Daydream Corporation. Amazed by the result, the host hypes up that the drafted faction is simply one of the top 3 most famous in the game's history. The kid nods tiredly, knowing full well this is the classic trope of the giant, greedy company that profits off deadly urban legends. This is exactly the poor squad that gets mercilessly wiped out every time they try to investigate real threats, serving only to create dramatic heroes. Politely thanking the kiss-ass employee for the good luck wishes, the rookie swears to himself he's going to hide that junk forever. Walking home alone on the empty city street, he curses the cashier for being a liar and wishing such a terrible fate on him. Suddenly, a terrifying dark shadow takes over everything, violently and silently killing all the streetlights. The thick darkness swallowed his vision fast, plunging his instincts into a literal, claustrophobic, and totally warped nightmare. Cutting off the chaotic flashback, Salim squeezes the shiny little accessory, realizing this is exactly how he woke up lost in this train car. The magic system alerts him that the button is a low-rank item that prints the user's memories into a text file right on their phone. Checking the back of his device, he confirms with relief that the relic works perfectly for reading his own recorded thoughts. Staring at the glowing screen, the guy watches in awe as the digital file of the dark legend magically loads onto his dark phone screen. The document details the exact specs of the Abyss Transit anomaly, proving his broken memory just turned into a real tactical guide. Super relieved by the find, he figures all his massive knowledge of that dark universe has finally bubbled up to save his skin. Since the game is a massive collection of brutal stories, remembering every single survival route off the top of his head would be totally impossible. With a focused, incredibly determined look, our MC realizes this newly minted app is his one and only ticket out of here alive. Pressing hard on the glass screen, the master tactician decrees it's finally time to pull up the perfect base escape plan. The digital file scrolls fast, showing a massive color-coded log of every past survival case for this transit anomaly. Swiping his sweaty thumb down the screen, he carefully reads every detail, trying to lock onto the right escape pattern for tonight. The speed reading finally clicks in his brain, and the rookie whispers in satisfaction that he totally understands all the rules of this stage now. Checking the train's digital sign closely, he confirms the safest route requires them to bail exactly at the dreaded hate station. The huge problem with holding the vital answer in his hands is the brutal communication barrier with the rest of the terrified group on the benches. Annoyed by the dangerous lack of cell service, the guy grumbles that he has no way to prove the truth by just pulling it up on the open web. Watching the duo of passengers shivering in fear in the background, he calculates how he's gonna talk these people into stepping off at a lethal stop. The risky plan involves rounding up as many survivors as possible to pull off a mass escape jump all at once into the dark outside. Dropping any fake hero complex, the kid bluntly admits he isn't doing this out of the goodness of his heart, but strictly out of self-preservation. Justifying his cold vibe, he confesses he actually does feel bad for them, but the cruel urgency of the corporate mission speaks way louder. The harsh reality hits hard. He simply doesn't have the physical stats to fight the monsters on the platform all by himself. The mental game manual warns about macabre stops, where the floor is covered in creepy eyeballs, staring at the blood of unlucky invaders. The legends talk about upside-down zones plunged into pitch black, where the chance of passing out from fear easily breaks the 90% mark. Being a proud, massive coward, the tactician knows full well that blacking out from fear halfway through is a guaranteed death sentence here. Putting the clear pieces of his own frailty together, the kid gets up from his seat, determined to drag the whole crying car out the exit with him. Taking his first careful step, he reasons that spitting facts about supernatural legends right off the bat is just gonna make him look like a total nutjob. The initial tactical plan focuses on winning the group's basic trust before pitching any highly risky escape into the dark outside. Using the cheap psychology of mob mentality to his advantage, the genius plan is to sway the loudest people so the rest just follow the herd. Taking his time sizing up the desperate passengers, he looks for any emotionally fragile target who really needs a friendly word right now. But a sudden sentence echoes through the metal car, slipping out of one of the victims and totally breaking the tactician's cold, logical train of thought. Completely thrown off by how casually it was said, he turns around, not believing someone just brought up internet horror channels in real life. A young girl with short hair cries in relief, clutching her phone while panting that she found exactly what she was looking for in the dark. Rushing the girl in a flash, Salim sits right next to her, demanding some serious, straight answers about this haunted story. Intimidated by the heavy questioning, the passenger stutters, explaining that this whole setup feels just like the horror vids she binges online. The girl fearfully talks about a classroom that randomly morphed into a subway car. Then she describes the awful scene of people literally melting right in the middle of that nightmare. Voice shaking, the young woman concludes that every single one of them died a brutal death. Salim quickly apologizes for acting so distant and tries to chill out in his seat. Frustrated, the kid internally admits his brain is just frying with so much insane BS happening all around him. Watching his coworker sitting next to him, he picks up on a major detail about how she's acting. The rookie realizes the girl kept her cool and didn't pass out from terror like the rest of the civilians here. Seizing the opening, he tries to strike up a chat with her to ask for some backup on the mission. But a suited guy walks up, asking if the girl was sitting next to him before all this chaos popped off. Cut off out of nowhere, our MC just turns his head, staring at the newcomer like he's a total weirdo. The tactician's sharp eyes lock onto the corporate ID badge hanging around the mystery dude's neck. With a cocky smirk, the man casually introduces himself as Beek Sahian. Salim freezes instantly when he hears his train buddy's name. Speed-checking the digital file, he confirms this guy is a named employee in the company's official logs. Staring the guy down, the rookie realizes in shock he's face-to-face with the famous hunter known by the alias Viper. The girl takes the lead and suggests they at least introduce themselves, revealing her name is Go Young-yoon. Analyzing her name, the rookie figures employees like her usually get wiped out fast or quit the company super early. He remembers that living legends usually rock code names, but their standout traits always spill who they really are. Keeping up the formal vibe, the guy adjusts his tie and finally drops his name to the duo. While chatting, the tactician notices the passenger group has basically split up across the dark train. The guy sees some people trying to talk to the civilians trapped in the car ahead of them. Young-yoon points out the legend bands moving between cabins, making Salim agree that trying is gonna fail miserably. Suddenly, the digital signs light up, announcing their immediate arrival at Ecstasy Station. The young woman asks hopefully if the word ecstasy doesn't give off a good, safe vibe for them. Without a hint of hesitation, our MC kills the dream, flat out stating nope. In his head, he knows damn well that judging stops by their optimistic names is a fatal rookie mistake. The logs proved the legend's naming system switched themes every single time the lethal stage was explored. To get out of there, the only real play was to focus purely on the survival stats from previous runs. The manual showed that color-based stops actually guaranteed a flawless escape for 2 people at Blue Station. But body part themes always ended in brutal bloodbaths, leaving exactly 0 survivors. The history of year-specific names also logged total failures and horrific deaths. Ironically, the serial killer theme boasted the highest success rate, logging 12 totally flawless rescues. With that, the kid concludes that a name's good vibes have 0 connection to the area's actual survival rate. Looking through the glass, the girl mentions the place looks super clean and safe enough to try a quick run for it. A desperate scream echoes through the car, pushing the rookie's mental limits against all this insanity. A crying woman grabs the tactician's suit, begging him to help her get out alive somehow. The terrified lady asks if he's absolutely sure it's safe to step out onto the bright platform. Totally confused by the random demand, Salim has no clue where she got the idea that he's some kind of protector. Trying to keep logic alive in the chaos, the newbie argues anyone with eyes can see they're trapped in a haunted set. Young-yoon jumps in, stating that acting purely on blind intuition never ends well in this kind of horror story. Annoyed by the dramatic stalling, the scared suited guy grumbles, telling everyone to drop the theories and just walk already. Ice cold, our MC asks if the guy thinks they're in a video game where hints just magically drop from the sky. Raising a finger with serious authority, the rookie announces that there is actually a massive clue sitting right there in the open. The kid points up, grabbing everyone's attention toward the automated voice of the conductor. He reminds them the system's very first message demanded total attention to the warnings to ensure a comfy trip through the dark. Breaking it down like a teacher, he explains the golden rule from second one was to focus exclusively on the machine's audio cues. The glowing sign stated that only passengers whose final destination was ecstasy should run out here. Staring down the shaking group, Salim bluntly asks if anyone here's actual life goal is exactly that place. The suited guy stutters, lying that living in ecstasy is totally his grand purpose in life. The terrified woman claps back, demanding to know if the guy is gonna take the blame if the escape goes completely south. Blinded by the crazy rush to leave, the passenger thumps his chest, swearing hell take on all the divine consequences. Instantly, the sound system announces the main doors to the outside platform are about to close. Ignoring any hidden threats, the man bolts, shoving people out of the way just to make it across in time. Through the dirty glass, the rookie notices the civilians in the front car also fell for the sick trap and bylaid from the train. Watching the pure stupidity, the tactician deeply regrets not wanting to face the harsh reality of the corporation. He takes a deep breath, mentally prepping for the inevitable horror show about to go down on the other side of the glass. The second the passenger's shoe hits the freezing floor, a bizarre energy turns his leg into solid gold. The man lets out a deafening scream of pure agony as his entire body starts violently melting down. Bathed in boiling liquid gold, the guy melts alive, begging desperately for help in the middle of the chaos. Totally consumed by the curse, he cries for salvation while sinking into his own glowing, completely lethal puddle. In a matter of painful seconds, the victim is brutally transformed into a melted puddle of glowing gold. The passenger's distorted face reflects eternal torment, etched into the shiny metal staining the platform floor. Without a shred of mercy, the transport speeds off, leaving the whole cursed station behind in the shadows. The survivors in the car watch in shock as the absurd slaughter plays out right in front of them. The lady cries, remembering the cocky guy promised to take full responsibility for the botched escape. Gripping the tactician's suit tight, she sobs, begging for a guarantee that he'll find them a safe spot. Trying to hide his own shaking legs, the kid just gives a dry nod, confirming he's gonna get her out of there. Loving the rookie's icy vibe, Hunter Viper flashes a huge grin, praising the kid's totally impressive attitude. The undercover vet comments that people with that much swagger are rare, hoping his promise actually pays out in gold. Smooth talking, Salim flips the pressure, asking if the quiet coworker already has a stop in mind to bail at. Faking pure innocence, Sahian shrugs, claiming he doesn't understand a single thing about this weird underworld. Knowing the mystery dude's monstrous track record, the rookie decides to keep a super close eye on the hunter's moves. The panel warns about hitting a curved section with heavy turbulence, ordering all passengers to sit down immediately. Looking through the glass, the group spots a fight breaking out in the front car and panics, having no clue what to do now. Screaming at everyone to hit the floor ASAP, Salim watches the turbulence shred the standing civilians in a literal bloodbath. In full panic mode, a young guy cries, gripping the seat, swearing the tragedy happened exactly like the warning said it would. The corporate PA system echoes through the car, letting everyone know there's a lost item on the transport. The voice tells whoever finds the object to get off at the next stop, and Salim figures this is a legit escape route. The announcement goes on, detailing that the lost item belongs to a man in his 20s. In a macabre twist, the machine reveals the missing item is exactly that passenger's left eye. The AI repeats the requirement for type A blood and tells the person to hand the eye over to a staff member. Listening closely, the tactician focuses on the fact that this option is a completely safe, free pass to escape. But the legend's massive catch is that only one single person actually has a real shot at getting out alive using this trick. Some passengers go into shock, muttering about how insane it is to rip out a young guy's left eye right there on the train. As an experienced hunter, Sahian weighs the crazy rule, wondering if he should just ignore the warning since they can all escape at the end anyway. The vet realizes a solo escape would cause brawls, while a cowardly guy suggests they just ID the target already. A witch hunt kicks off with the guy interrogating everyone about their ages, finding out a coworker has type B blood. The interrogation reaches the rookie, and he lies to their faces, claiming his blood type is OB to dodge the crosshairs. Suddenly, another passenger raises his hand and confesses to being the target, reasoning there's no harm in outing himself. The man brags, confirming he perfectly meets all the deadly requirements of that macabre announcement. The guy holds his ground, fully believing this confession won't actually put his life in any real danger. The machine cuts the mood, announcing they've hit Hate Station, while Sahian locks his dark stare onto the target. The hunter casually walks up to the passenger and asks in a friendly tone if he really has the blood type they're looking for. The automated voice announces the doors are opening, and heavy tension floods the dark train car. Wasting zero time, the veteran completely drops his friendly act and launches an attack on the innocent guy. With a blindingly fast move, Sahian apologizes for the kid's bad luck and strikes ruthlessly right in the middle of the car. The hunter's violent strike rips the man's left eye clean out in a brutal spray of blood and pure agony. Completely shell-shocked, the civilians watch the mutilation, unable to process the cruelty of the sudden attack. The bloody item is successfully swiped, and the passenger collapses to the floor, suffering insanely. Clutching the gross prize, Sahian forces his way out and jumps onto the freezing platform with zero remorse. The crowd goes into full panic, screaming in terror as they watch the man writhing and bleeding out on the floor. Watching the getaway, Salim doesn't get why the guy just ran, since the manual clearly said to hand the eye over. The rookie duo freezes, realizing the massive loophole in the rules of this sick survival game. The tactician remembers the warning told whoever found the item to get off, not the actual owner of the object. Watching the hunter outside, our MC concludes that relying on anyone's empathy in here is absolute stupidity. Pointing at the platform, the coworker freaks out over the cruel move, while the kid figures out the hunter's trick. The tactician realizes the corporate bosses didn't just hand out the terrifying title Viper for nothing. He thought the guy was just a polite newbie, but the true sadistic nature described in the logs just showed its face. The doors close, and the kid deduces the hunter sacrificed his own eye and blinded the civilian just to wipe out the competition. Evaluating the brutality, Salim figures the vet went overboard, and that much bloodshed was totally unnecessary. A passenger mutters while searching the floor, reinforcing that a lost item should literally be something dropped. The rookie theorizes the rule requires finding someone else's object, and you should never use parts of your own body to pay the toll. Focusing on the scene, he grips a hidden vial, knowing the legend strictly follows the literal meaning of words. The subway warning echoes again, letting them know the special employee is on the way to collect the package. Through the foggy glass, a giant, bizarre figure appears, walking slowly through the dark station. The machine thanks the humans for their cooperation, and our MC bugs his eyes out at the monster outside. The creature violently grabs the hunter off the floor, and the system confirms the eye was successfully transferred to the staff. Sahian's agonizing screams echo loudly, and the terrified group doesn't feel an ounce of pity for the selfish guy's fate. Salim feels bad about the wrecked face of the injured civilian, and asks if Yongyun has advanced medical training. The young woman admits she dropped out of med school and calls herself a fraud, but he praises her just for getting into such a tough program. The AI announces their arrival at Hate Station, drawing everyone's attention to the locked doors. The tactician notices his coworker staring at him waiting for orders, terrified the group is gonna dump the leadership role on his shoulders. Annoyed by the responsibility, he asks if she doesn't think that's a crazy amount of heavy, exhausting pressure. The ex-med student admits she gets how fear makes people dependent, but apologizes for stressing him out too. Sighing heavily, the boy admits he's been thinking a lot about the whole final destination concept. The girl morbidly suggests that the ultimate final stop for any human being is always inevitable death. Our MC silently agrees that the absolute end of any life really does finish 6 feet under. He reveals he thought about jumping if any fatal word popped up, but was terrified he'd just be leading the group straight to the slaughterhouse. Praising her logic, the rookie agrees her death theory is super solid and really well thought out. Totally shocked by the sudden support, Yongyun freezes, blinking in confusion at her coworker's vibe. Keeping up his confident act, the guy stays in control of the situation in the panic-filled car. With his words locked and loaded, he flips the question, asking what the word destination actually means in the dictionary. The system warns the next stop is Peace Station, and he reminds them a destination is a goal you're trying to reach. His cold logic dictates that the transport is super literal with its rules about sitting down and finding items to save everyone. He points out that even the victims at the earlier stops paid the lethal price in direct, zero-metaphor ways. Laying out the plan, the tactician figures the train's goal is to drop you at a place you haven't actually reached yet. He brings up how at Blue Station, civilians who didn't wear blue stuff got out alive with ridiculous ease. The same massive success happened at the killer stop, because none of the passengers were actually serial killers. With that formula, the kid figures the riddle means getting off at the station of an emotion he isn't feeling today. The machine declares they've arrived at peace station, while survival chaos eats away at the terrified humans. Stepping forward, Salim tells his shocked coworker that this is absolutely the right stop for them. Full of swagger, our MC firmly declares he is getting off exactly at that well-lit spot. In his quick mind, he reflects that human nature guarantees we feel pain, anger, and deep sadness during our lives. The tactician admits that finding an emotion nobody in this car has is basically an impossible task. However, he zeroes in on the massive, obvious exception created by this corporate nightmare they're trapped in. The glowing sign changes, announcing the peaceful and wonderful Tipyong station. The word directly translates to a state of mind that is perfectly serene and totally free of panic. The rookie's logic proves that zero humans can actually stay chill under such a brutal threat of death. Holding a determined look, he reaches out to help the cowardly man slumped on the freezing floor. Offering a warm hand, the unlikely leader guides the group through the open doors straight toward guaranteed salvation. Stepping up as the leader of the terrified group, Salim realizes the passengers just followed him, and there's no turning back now. The sign for the peaceful station glows brightly as the kid focuses on the hope that they all make it out together. However, the other survivors bug their eyes out in shock as they stare at the scene outside the train. A massive pool of blood covers the place, making the panicked group question if this stop was actually a good idea. Squeezing his own sweaty hands, the tactician admits he doesn't want to get off here either and internally begs someone to talk him out of it. Cutting through the despair, Go Yongyun takes charge, swearing that stepping off exactly here is the right call. The girl points out that the newbie was the only one who stayed completely chill, while the rest of the car shook with fear. She brings up the selfish guy who lost his mind trying to save himself, highlighting how the unlikely leader's vibe was totally different. Standing her ground, the young woman declares she'd much rather follow someone who actually shows they have a good heart. Hyped up by her trust, the rookie takes the first brave step out of the haunted transport. Without missing a beat, his coworker follows him, stepping right onto the blood-soaked floor of the freezing platform. The boy turns his head in surprise when he hears his name called out nervously by someone else in the group. That same cowardly man from before flashes a relieved smile, declaring he completely trusts the newbie's gut too. Absolutely stunned by the guy's attitude, Salim realizes the civilian hid his own fear of getting off just so he wouldn't drag down the escape. Swallowing his nerves, our MC agrees with the team, focusing on the ultimate goal of getting everyone out of this hell alive. Gathering the civilians on the bizarre platform, the guy swears everyone will be safe if they just focus purely on the feeling of passing through. The squad breaks into a sprint, running up the bloody stairs with the sole thought of escaping this abyss. Soon, the glowing exit sign pops up in the dark, proving the crazy survival plan actually worked perfectly. A blinding light floods the room as a cheerful voice congratulates the arrival of the company's newest recruits. Totally exhausted, the kid stares at the new, bright area, trying to process the end of that crushing terror. Taking a deep breath, he starts mentally counting the passengers who managed to dodge certain death. The rookie's eyes scan the relieved faces of the team, checking every member who jumped off the haunted train. A massive wave of relief washes over the tactician when he sees that 5 people trusted him and made it out alive. Sitting in front of a shiny stage, the group celebrates the miracle survival that saved 8 souls from that bloodbath. The charismatic suited guy on stage hypes up the record number of 22 rookies who passed the deadly test. Thrilled with the outcome, the host swears this entire class can only be called legendary by corporate standards. The man enthusiastically mentions he can't wait to see HR's reaction to this insane achievement. Annoyed by the room's morbid vibe, the newbie notices the team's heavy silence while the host promises to reveal the night's top MVPs. Suddenly, a spotlight isolates our MC in his chair, revealing he was the absolute grand champion of the round. The host praises the kid's genius leadership, while he just sits there paralyzed, trying to accept that all this insanity is his actual life. The host walks up to the winner, handing over a mystery box and announcing it's a massive official gift from the company. Slowly pulling the lid off, the the rookie stares at the shiny object at the bottom of the package without feeling an ounce of hype. The kid's expression flips to pure shock when the suited guy tells him to take a real good look at the surprise. Ignoring the guy's confusion, the host turns his back, laughing, and calls the feared hunter Viper up to claim his prize. The corporate awards ceremony rolls on, handing out prizes to every traumatized survivor of that hellish night. Reaching the back row, the master of ceremonies politely hands a special freebie right to the cowardly man. Evaluating the coworkers around him, Salim figures out the train cars operated in totally different realities and timelines. Showing zero pity, the newbie decrees that the selfish hunter is gonna have to drag himself to a hospital all alone later. Back center stage in the spotlight, the host confirms all recruits got their valuable item and preps for the final announcement. The giant screen declares the deadly trial phase is officially over, and everyone is now officially hired into the field squad. Pissed at the situation, a woman with glasses jumps out of her chair, screaming that not all survivors actually put in the work to escape. With a grotesque smirk, the host agrees that justice has to be served, and all the lazy cowards will be totally eliminated. Dimensional portals rip open under the chairs, brutally swallowing the people who didn't pull their weight during the mission. The tactician watches the sadistic punishment, completely frozen in terror as his own coworkers are suddenly deleted. Young-yoon covers her mouth in shock, while the stage voice gives a cruel welcome to the 13 rookies left in the hall. Pacing the stage, the suited guy claims the phenomenal performance of this small group deserves some serious recognition. The corporate speech announces the jobs are now permanent, and everyone has been promoted to full-time company employees. Suddenly, a shaking hand shoots up in the middle of the auditorium, demanding immediate resignation and an end to this torturous madness. The host asks why anyone would turn down such an awesome gig, and suggests the kid listen to the sector's massive benefits first. Young-yoon cautiously asks if they'll really be allowed to leave safely after this, getting a cynical guarantee from the suited man. The killer's smile returns to the monster's face, as he swears the tempting offer will make them all beg to stay on the payroll. Staring at the host's lethal shadow, the tactician realizes the punishment is over, and now it's time to drop the real bait. A magic bottle appears glowing on the screens, revealing the greatest and most coveted corporate perk, the wish ticket. The master of ceremonies hypes up the company's flawless tech, claiming even their hair loss cures are legendary. Elegantly raising his hand, the man promises the corporation's grand secret product has absolutely nothing to do with normal meds. The glowing potion promises to grant literally any wish the human mind can possibly imagine. Snapping his fingers, the speaker decides to do a live demo, taking advantage of the fact that it was his official payday. His pale hand pops the cork off the bottle, releasing a mesmerizing cosmic dust that lights up the entire dark stage. The survivors murmur in terror, totally doubting that this absurd promise could actually be real. Downing the cosmic liquid without a second thought, the host lets out a shout of pure joy, celebrating the divine power rushing through his veins. Completely de-aged and surrounded by magic, the suited guy proudly shows off the bizarre, instant effects of the wish ticket. The recruits' eyes bug out in shock when they see the miracle potion actually managed to reverse the guy's age. The glowing panel shows that field hunters suffer the most, but they score that divine reward way faster than anybody else. To stroke the group's ego, the host claims the top 10 record holders for the prize came from this exact same dangerous sector. Salim sees right through the verbal manipulation, figuring the body count of dead rookies is infinitely higher than the actual winners. Despite seeing the company's lethal trap, the kid admits the magic of the anti-aging potion is completely real and functional. The room sinks into a heavy silence, proving the promise of a literal miracle just filled everyone's hearts with greed. Breaking the host's hypnotic spell, another hand shoots up firmly in the middle of the dark crowd. A long-haired recruit asks if the absurd potion is strong enough to bring a dead person back to life. The desperate look in the young guy's eyes makes it obvious he isn't asking this weird question just out of medical curiosity. The host tries to keep his upbeat persona, grumbling that there's usually a pretty cliché answer for that kind of question. He smiles condescendingly, claiming that breaking the barrier between life and death is an impossible burden to bear. But clenching his fist with extreme violence, the guy mocks their expectations, proving the company shatters any limits. The screen flashes intensely, burning into the rookies' minds that the cosmic ticket truly grants any miracle, zero exceptions. With the bait fully swallowed, the hall doors fly wide open, while the cold voice dares the cowards to just walk away. The screen voice announces the past recruits should grab the masks out of their shopping bags. Sitting there, Solium stares at the packaging, totally confused. Exhausted, the kid mentally groans that the day to receive this item finally arrived. Pulling the dark object out of the bag, a business card falls out with it, showing an emergency contact number. The newbie remembers the host's earlier warning and decides to deal with that sketchy paper later. Lifting the shady accessory, he focuses on the company's famous official mask. The gear is a symbol of the exploration team and usually morphs based on the employee's entry year. While the master of ceremonies gives an energetic goodbye, our MC just wants to reject the job and sprint out of there. But he knows bizarre phenomena are scattered all over the city, and cowards don't last long out there. Thinking about the magic potion, the guy realizes quitting is suicide, and he needs to find a permanent escape route from this world. On the other side, sadistic Sahyun puts on his mask like it's no big deal. Meanwhile, Yongyun stares at the item in her hands, trying to process everything she just lived through. Solium is amazed to realize that, even after the bloodbath, nobody in the group actually tried to run out of the hole. The manual said the accessory adapts to the new employee, taking on a unique shape based on the user's personality. Slapping the object on his face, the tactician is super curious to see what his exclusive design will look like. The dark smoke clears, revealing sharp, black horns sprouting right out of the kid's head. Yongyun notices her coworker's horns and asks, totally confused, if everyone's accessory gets this weird. Putting on her own mask, the girl gets small white horns and laughs, realizing she just turned into an ibex. The main screen lights up again, congratulating the group on surviving the bloody probation period. With their employment officially locked in, the new hunters brace themselves to face the real corporate madness. Suddenly, a floating notification pings, unlocking the newbie's access rights to the exploration logs in the system. Solium's eyes go wide, surprised by the unexpected alert from his magic item. The screen details that special new merch just unlocked for him. Knowing it's sketchy to mess with that right in front of everyone, the tactician decides to check out his loot when he gets home. But the word home jams his brain, making the guy stare at the company's employee benefits pamphlet. Lost in thought, the kid wonders if he even has a home to go back to in this alternate universe. Later, in a residential building, his teammate happily greets him in the hallway. Returning the greeting chilly, the newbie hits the button to call the elevator. Holding her luggage, she asks if he took the housing allowance too, and the guy just nods. Solium's phone flashed an invalid address error when he tried to look up his old place. This system wiped out his family records, leaving only vague data from his college days. With nowhere else to go, the memory of the train massacre made him take the most logical, safe option. The kid had no choice but to quickly accept the housing support offered by the corporation itself. He knew damn well all that sweet-talking from the host was just poison bait to trap the rookies. Yongyun mentions 7 of the 13 recruits took the housing, leaving her coworker shocked at the number. The girl admits it's scary living there, but living rent-free near base makes up for it, and he agrees being broke is way scarier. The elevator dings at the 12th floor, and the tactician admits the apartment is actually pretty nice. Obviously, the company's real motive was to keep the team trapped nearby, so they could exploit them 24/7. Opening the front door with his bags, he runs straight into the one massive flaw in this whole luxury setup. Looking around the room, the newbie comes face to face with Sahyun just chilling in the kitchen. The boy freezes in the doorway, realizing fate just paired him up to room with the sociopath hunter. Trying to ignore the danger, his mind zeroes in on the absurd details and limits of the magic potion. An incredibly awkward silence fills the room as the lethal duo just stares at each other without saying a word. Noticing the veteran's medical patch, the newbie figures the company restored his eye and decides to keep his distance. Solium turns his head, walking straight for his own room, but his roommate calls out to him. The kid stops dead in the middle of the living room, waiting to hear what the guy has to say. Holding a threatening glare, the hunter calls the rookie's name again in a heavy tone. When the newbie turns to listen, the vet leans back in his chair, giving off a totally unhinged vibe. Sahyun smirks, asking if it was super fun watching someone get their eye ripped out, making the kid mentally label him a lunatic. Salim stays silent for a quick second, a tense shadow covering his face. Without taking a single step back, the tactician switches his stance and walks right back toward the psycho. In a fast, aggressive move, the newbie grabs the killer's collar with a rock-solid grip. Dripping with ice-cold irony, the rookie agrees, saying he actually found the mutilation scene incredibly entertaining. The hunter freezes in pure shock as the guy thanks him for the dopamine hit and swears he'd love to see that bloodbath again. Gripping his coworker's shirt even tighter, he boldly confesses it's been way too long since he watched such a beautiful show. The boy lets go of the collar and excitedly pats Sahian's shoulder, telling him to keep bringing the good news. Flexing a threatening aura, the newbie orders the psycho to keep his corporate life thoroughly entertained. Leaving the man stunned in his seat, Salim finally turns his back and heads into his room. Escaping the living room, the tactician sighs in relief, realizing his epic mental bluff worked flawlessly. He justifies the stunt by remembering his years of experience dealing with unbearable clients at his old job. People like that fit the stubborn profile that creates their own reality, and the best defense against them is a super aggressive bluff. He knew the odds of them working together were super low, so he used that bold lie to neutralize the threat day one. Stepping into the dark room, the newbie admits he just has to pretend to be a lunatic too, so he doesn't get stabbed in his sleep. Flicking on the lights, he's amazed by the spacious room, fully stocked with brand new furniture. The company housing is top tier, offering a private bathroom and heavy-duty weekly cleaning service for dirt cheap. On the desk, the rookie finds a bunch of welcome gifts, expensive snacks, and his new office supplies. The guy gets that all this luxury is an aggressive corporate strat to stop useful recruits from quitting. Checking out the items, his eyes lock onto a black notebook left on the edge of the desk. Opening the little notebook from last year, he gets a jump scare seeing the word escape written in giant red letters across the page. Staring at the message in pure dismay, the kid thanks the old tenant for the desperate warning and admits his fate is already sealed. Tossing his jacket on the chair, he sighs, exhausted and ready to finally chill for a bit. Knowing he's safe and totally alone, the tactician decides it's the perfect time to test his magic item. Wasting no time, Salim summons the little exploration notebook and grips it tight. The system's pages start flipping on their own at insane speed. A tiny yellow smiley face sticker pops out of nowhere, landing softly on the wooden desk. The system pulls up the details for the smiley sticker, revealing the cheap merch is used to manipulate friendship. This relic creates a fake sense of intimacy in the target, widely known around the company as the infamous bribe item. The manipulation power was so broken that the company just decided to ban the tool entirely. A long boardroom argument ended with them deciding the relic made missions way too easy, outlawing it for high-ranking execs. Now the rule is that only full-time employees or higher-ups can even use the perk. Checking out the system, our MC is impressed, figuring he's gonna score new gear every time he levels up his rank here. The kid flips through the notepad thinking this will come in handy, but then faceplants onto the desk, regretting getting dragged into this world. Meanwhile, the night rolls on peacefully as the flower vase decorates the dark room. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he focuses on the fact that his terrifying new job starts next week. Trying to rest, Salim drops his head on the pillow, groaning about the ridiculous amount of crazy BS he survived today. The guy's exhausted brain boils with bizarre flashes of the survival test, making the newbie groan from pure fatigue. The weekend flies by, and soon the massive Daydream building stands tall under the clear morning sky. At the office, Go Youngyun notices her coworker looking like garbage and worriedly asks if he's feeling all right. Staring at her partner's deep eye bags, the young woman asks if he had a rough night's sleep. Trying to brush off the recent trauma, the rookie admits he suffered through heavy nightmares all weekend long. The elevator smoothly goes up as his partner mentions she's getting off soon on the 10th floor. The company system spreads the field exploration squad across all floors between 10 and 15. Wishing his coworker luck, Salim spots the giant sign marking his stop on the 13th floor. The rookie walks down the quiet hall, thinking even the floor number feels like a tragic warning from fate. Looking at the shiny plaque on the wall, he confirms he finally found his new team's official office. Pushing the door open carefully, the kid introduces himself politely, letting them know he starts working there today. Instantly, Supervisor Park Min-sung jumps up, hyped to welcome the newest member to the group. Leaning on the desk, Assistant Yoon Hage darkly comments that their sector got famous because all the newbies always die. Hearing that morbid joke, the tactician freezes completely, processing the danger level of his new workplace. Outside, the sun lights up the commercial building, while the recruit seriously debates if there's still time to quit. Cutting the tense mood, the supervisor takes over, congratulating the kid for surviving the deadly transit run. The newbie says thanks, but thinks casually dropping jokes about massacres is totally unhinged. Suggesting a formal round of intros, the blue-haired woman officially introduces herself as the assistant manager. Right after, the hyped Min-sung thumps his chest, revealing he's the squad's big senior employee. Returning the courtesy, Saliam gives his name, and the boss tells him to chill, promising the kid will rank up soon too. Weighing the situation, Yoon Hage points out quitting isn't a bad call, since there are plenty of normal jobs out in the world. The woman grumbles that any job here always comes with the risk of bumping into a bizarre ghost in the bathroom. The supervisor claps back, reminding her the manager was the top scorer on the company's entrance exam. Park Min-sung offers him a chair and mentions the big team leader is currently busy out on a field mission. Suddenly, an old radio on the desk turns on by itself, broadcasting the live local traffic report. The robotic voice runs down Seoul's weather updates, guaranteeing clear, sunny skies all morning. But the broadcast gets slammed with violent static, playing audio of furious drivers screaming at each other in the street. The rookie stares at the device, totally confused, realizing that weather forecast makes zero logical sense. Staring at the shady object, the tactician instantly deduces the old junk is actually a real urban legend. The veteran hits the button to kill the radio and asks with a smile if the newbie noticed anything weird about the broadcast. Praising the kid's sharp intuition, Min-sung notes the recruit picked up on the item's creepy vibe really fast. The man explains the device works like a daily horoscope and is officially ranked as a harmless anomaly. Saliam is shocked, realizing the corporation just casually keeps cursed objects running right inside the base. Pointing a finger, the senior jokes around, calling his coworker a nerd for knowing the classic darkness term. Ignoring the kid's denial, the veteran tosses a high-tech tablet into his hands and tells him to pay attention. The glowing screen pulls up the official training video, made specifically to guide the squad's fresh recruits. Two cute mascots pop up on screen, giving a super warm welcome to the new hires full of dreams and passion. The cartoon asks the audience what they think the grand company's actual line of business is. The answer pops up happily, claiming the corporation focuses on producing miracle magic potions. The bizarre commercial swears their labs can synthesize any kind of medicine humanity could ever need. Then the mascots drop the cute act, asking the newbies if they know supernatural phenomena still exist in society. The voiceover lists famous legends, proving that scary stories come to life in the real world all the time. The video reveals the company's true mission is to manage these violent anomalies and extract valuable resources from them. Using this bizarre material, they manage to brew the famous magic potions that grant any imaginable wish. To harvest this insane raw material, the base relies entirely on the brave work of its field explorers. Watching the ad, Saliam is totally thrown off by the massive tonal whiplash in the corporate message. The screen shows the cartoons fighting bravely to collect the vital ingredient from monstrous creatures. The system states that extracting this dangerous substance is the one and only real mission for the hired hunters. Staring coldly at the tablet, the tactician realizes all this childish theater is just masking a dirty business. He figures out the company is nothing but a criminal syndicate getting rich selling supernatural drugs on the black market. The video makes it crystal clear the main ingredient for these miracle cures comes straight from captured urban legends. The ad shamelessly admits the biggest buyers of these potions are rich politicians and high society. Wrapping up the corporate pitch, the manual tells the newbies to grab their collectors and dive into the darkness without fear. The mascots wave happily, dumping the entire tragic future of the company right onto the poor field squad's shoulders. As the video ends, Park Min-sung smiles and asks if the rookie paid close attention to the valuable message. Trying to keep it professional, Saliam gives a dry nod, saying the presentation was definitely unforgettable. The senior points out that the official term the veterans use for the legends is simply the word darkness. To avoid sounding like a massive horror nerd, the big guy advises the kid to always stick to that standard vocab. Sick of the forced toxic positivity, the tactician just groans internally about the madness while the supervisor stands up. The veteran calls the newbie up for his first practical mission, since he just finished reading the squad's basic manual. Totally annoyed by the rush, our MC asks if he's seriously getting thrown into danger on his very first day on the job. Keeping his cool, the senior promises the afternoon gig is just a super light, completely safe exploration run. Right then, Yoon Hage walks up quietly and shoves a tactical syringe straight into the rookie's tense hands. The item turns out to be the official essence collector, built to store the dark energy ripped from the monsters. The woman tells the newbie to be super careful with the expensive gear and demands he put his protective mask on so they can start. Holding the horned mask he just got, the kid listens to the supervisor tell him to gear up. Looking at the newbie, Minsung notes in confusion that the accessory's shape looks exactly like a little deer. Our MC is lost on the comparison and mentally wonders what the deal is with this whole deer thing. Hyped up, the veteran jokes about it, swearing the wild species is way tougher than your average deer. With the gear on his face, Saliam holds a tablet while the boss tells him to take a good look at the screen. The display shows an internet post offering 20 million to anyone who plays hide-and-seek with a ghost in a store. Annoyed, the rookie asks why they're showing him this without any heads-up. Answering calmly, the senior explains the internet challenge, and the kid asks why he's reading it right now. At that exact second, the tactician's brain stalls as he puts the pieces of the mission together. Dripping with chill vibes, Minsung just tells the guy to relax and knock out the job nice and easy. Pure disbelief hits the newbie as he realizes the company is actually sending him in solo on day one. The corporate exploration system boots up to log the deadly hide-and-seek urban legend. A blinding light suddenly fries the recruit's vision, signaling the immediate start of the bizarre stage. Opening his eyes, he finds himself standing right in front of a glowing convenience store in the middle of pitch blackness. Our MC nervously confirms this is the exact spot from the internet forum post. Inside the shop, the rookie scopes out the dead silent vibe of the convenience store. The digital clock hits midnight, and he tries to comfort himself by thinking at least he won't starve in here. Leaning on the counter, the guy figures this set is just designed to farm psychological jump scares. His logic says he just needs to grab a water and peacefully ride out the 3 days hiding. But the kid's eyes bug out in absolute terror when he spots something horribly wrong in the area. A bizarre, dark face is staring right at the recruit from inside the drink fridge. The system manual points out this specific anomaly always involves running from a killer ghost. Wasting zero time, a monstrous, ghostly hand reaches out to grab the invader's face in the dark. The legend states getting caught by the spook triggers an immediate, terrifying punishment. Our MC runs for his life down the aisle, desperately trying to shake the lethal threat on his tail. If the monster catches him, the entire time loop of this cursed stage just resets back to zero. With the escape botched, the clock resets to midnight, trapping the kid in a bizarre loop.